The Super Bowl trophy remains the ultimate measure of success in the NFL. And in the decade of the 70s, no team had more success than the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had the consummate pro quarterback in Terry Bradshaw, a versatile running back, Franco Harris, and a formidable defensive lineman in Mean Joe Green. Those steel curtain teams set a standard others had failed to reach. That trophy, so close for the Buffalo Bills, who despite the Super Bowl loss, may be the team of the 90s, with a Bradshaw-like quarterback, Jim Kelly. In Thurman Thomas, a running back who has taken Harris's versatility to a new level. And a defensive lineman, Bruce Smith, who is even the envy of Joe Green. The Bills hope those ingredients shake out into Steeler-like dominance of the decade.
NBC Sports presents the National Football League. Today, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Buffalo Bills.
The would-be team of the 90s, the defending AFC champion Buffalo Bills against the tradition-rich Pittsburgh Steelers. A crowd of over 80,000 on hand at Rich Stadium in summer-like weather. The temperature at game time, 84 degrees. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Buffalo. Tom Hammond and Joe Namath ready to bring you a matchup between two hot teams, winners in Week 1 of the season. In fact, though Jim Kelly is nursing a sore ankle, he directs the most potent offense in the NFL.
Oh, this no-huddle offense is a terror right now. Jim Kelly does have the bad ankle, so he'll operate even more from the no-huddle offense, from the shotgun position, because it hurts his ankle to drop back. Now, the no-huddle offense works because of Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas, but this isn't Buffalo's concern today. Today, their defensive line is hurting. Bruce Smith is out. He's going to be out for a while. Nose tackle Jeff Wright is out. Wright is replaced by Mike Lodish, a second-year player out of UCLA, and the rookie is taking Bruce Smith's place, Phil Hansen at end. So the defense may be a problem for these Bills today.
What about Pittsburgh's offense? How will they exploit that Bills' defensive weakness?
Well, you know, Pittsburgh folks, they like to run at you. They run the traps, the linemen hitting the linemen. They like to stick Barry Foster at you quickly, the sharp running back, Merrill Hodge. Now, Pittsburgh also has the weapons of Joe Walton's offense, a brilliant offensive coordinator. They'll do a lot of play-action stuff and throw shorter passes. I think Pittsburgh's biggest concern today is that quick, aggressive defense of theirs. They must do something to slow down this no-huddle offense.
The Steelers have a 6-5 lead overall in the series, but the Bills won the last meeting, and the Steelers have only won once at Rich Stadium way back in 1978, and the Bills have been super tough at home. They've won their last 11 games, and since 1988, they've lost in this stadium only twice. The veteran Chuck Noll, the link to those 4 Super Bowl champion Steeler teams of the 70s, and second among active coaches, trailing only Don Shula in number of wins. And his Bills counterpart, Marv Levy, who had the trip to the Super Bowl only to see a last-second field goal go wide, coming away with a narrow loss to the New York Giants. But 3 straight AFC East titles and a championship in 1990 in the American Football Conference. As we said, the two teams winners in the opening week. San Diego fell to the Steelers 26-20 at Three Rivers Stadium. And here at Rich Stadium, the Bills came from 14-0 and 17-7 down to defeat the Miami Dolphins 35-31. The Steelers have won the toss and will receive as Scott Norwood is set to kick it off for the Buffalo Bills. And the dangerous Rod Woodson deep for Pittsburgh. And Woodson from the 10. For Woodson and a good return. He lowers his head and pounds close to the 40-yard line. Mark it at the 39 before Butch Roll makes the stop on special teams. Woodson with a 29-yard return. Here's the Pittsburgh offense now. That offensive line young except for 12-year veteran Ilkin, a 2-time Pro Bowl performer. Brister had his first 300-yard passing day against Buffalo back in 1988. Barry Foster, the top rusher after one game. And when the Steelers go to their deuce formation, Green replaces Stone for 2 tight ends. Good field position for Pittsburgh. They're in the I formation. Foster, the tailback, hit and dropped for a loss on the play by Carlton Bailey, starting inside backer for the Buffalo Bills. Here's the Buffalo starting defense. Rookie Hansen starts at end, and Lodish moves from end to nose tackle. Conlon had a dozen tackles against Miami last week. In the secondary, last year's first-round draft choice, James Williams gets his first pro start. And when the Bills go to the dime, Hicks and Jackson replace linebackers. Three tight end formation here for Pittsburgh. Eric Green and Adrian Cooper join the starter Mike Mularkey. And the give straight ahead to Merrill Hodge. And Hodge back to the original line of scrimmage where he's pounced on by the rookie Phil Hansen, getting his first NFL start with help from Cornelius Bennett.
I'll tell you what, folks, these Buffalo Bills have crossed up the Pittsburgh Steelers to begin with. The Bills, because of their defensive deficiencies with the injuries in the line, started out with only 2 defensive linemen in a down position. Now Mike Lodish, 73, has come into the game in his third down passing situation. I think Pittsburgh's been fooled early.
3rd and 10 for the Steelers. Brister's in the shotgun. Lips and Callaway, and 3 wide receivers now to the right. Brister's first pass almost intercepted. Mark Kelso had a shot at it, the pass a little high, and he couldn't hold it, and then Green drived after it, but it'll go incomplete, and the Steelers must punt.
Number 86, Green, big, huge receiver, and little Kelso comes up there and nearly takes this ball the other way. Had Brister not had the ball up around the headgear of Green, Kelso would have had 6.
Dan Straczynski will punt for Pittsburgh. Very good at getting it high. He has a lot of fair catches. That's Al Edwards deep for Buffalo. All the punts by Straczynski last week were fair caught. Pressure on him and a short kick, but high. And there's another fair catch taken by Edwards at the 35, where Buffalo will take over. Mark Pike was putting the pressure on Straczynski, and it resulted in only a 27-yard punt. Here's the Bills' offense now, number 1 in the NFL. And many say this offensive line is the best in football, anchored by the Mississippi cattle farmer Kent Hull, who's been to the Pro Bowl the last 3 years. Jim Kelly passed for 381 yards against Miami, and Thomas last week became the first Buffalo player over 100 yards rushing and receiving in the same game. Now the K-gun is the no huddle with 3 wides and a tight end. Beebe comes in for Gardner.
James Williams seems to be nursing a bruise, as looks like Kelly may operate from underneath the center on this first play.
He told us he would be primarily from the shotgun because of that sore left ankle. Flags down as that one went awry from the start, and a loss on the play for Thurman Thomas. So the Bills having time to call a play, not going from the no huddle, and it's fouled up from the start as Greg Lloyd stacked it at the line of scrimmage. It may be against the Steelers, though. It is offside against Pittsburgh. Greg Lloyd came too soon.
Offside, 95 defense, first down.
In the middle, top of the screen, Greg Lloyd, 95, just shot across that line. Now Kelly's back in the shotgun formation.
And here is that K-gun, and Reed makes the catch from Kelly for a first down. Gain of about 7 yards as Carnell Lake collapses on Andre Reed, and the Bills have the initial first down of the game. We'll set the Steeler defense for you when we get a chance. Because of the no huddle, it's hurry up for everyone, including the announcers and producers. Kelly across the middle has his man again to the 40-yard line. Reed with his second catch of the day, and Carnell Lake with his second tackle. That one covered 12 yards.
You know what this no-huddle offense does of Buffalo's? It takes the defense kind of out of rhythm. The defense has time now to call a different front and to call a different coverage, but they're not used to not getting together back there.
This time Thurman Thomas tries the right side and is tripped up to the 35-yard line. David Johnson got a hand on the ankle, and Hardy Nickerson got a piece of the tackle as well. Here is the Pittsburgh defense, basic but quick. In the front 7, Lloyd had 6 tackles, 2 sacks, and a fumble recovery against San Diego. In the secondary, keep your eye on Pro Bowler Rod Woodson. And when the Steelers go to their penny defense, Griffin and Shelton will come in. Here's the play. And it is Kenneth Davis who's come in for Thomas that gets his first carry of the game. Hardy Nickerson on the stop. There's the penny defense that the Steelers will go to. Griffin and Shelton come in to replace 2 inside linebackers. That gives them 6 DBs.
That penny defense, there's Thomas limping on the sideline now. That's not a good scene for the Buffalo team.
Third down play. They were good against Miami, converting 9 of 11. Nowhere for Davis to go this time as Greg Lloyd gets penetration into the backfield.
That's what Joe Green, the defensive line coach, brings to the Steelers. On the left side of the screen, Lloyd's going to get right in there from his outside position. He just comes hard. He's reckless going to the ball. And the way these guys come off the line, they attack. They don't stand still and read. Joe Green has these guys charging forward the way he used to and reading the offense on the charge.
Here's Scott Norwood with a field goal attempt. It'll be about 50 yards, and he has been in a slump lately. Norwood missed his only one last week and, of course, missed the one in the Super Bowl. Reich with a hold, and Norwood's kick. No good. Long field goal try by Scott Norwood is no good, and the Steelers will take over. 0-0, 10.5 left in the opening quarter.
On September 22nd, you'll get your first look at a new luxury sedan that was designed by a sculptor. Until then, photo opportunities will be limited. Watch NBC September 22nd.
When what you eat and drink upsets your stomach, you want a medicine that works directly on your stomach itself. Pepto-Bismol. As it coats, Pepto delivers powerful medicine directly to your stomach, right where you hurt. It's powerful relief. Pepto-Bismol. It's real medicine for your stomach.
Who in the world would think of using the sun to actually cool the inside of a new luxury sedan? A company where innovative ideas flourish. Watch NBC September 22nd.
Inside your smooth-running engine is a torture chamber. And under these grueling conditions, only one leading motor oil meets the world's toughest requirements for viscosity breakdown. Castrol, the only leading motor oil that provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol. After all, why make things tougher on your engine? Castrol GTX, engineered for today's smaller cars.
Thurman Thomas, the leading rusher in the NFL after the first week of the season, and last year's leading all-purpose back in the NFL, injured his left ankle and is being tended to on the Buffalo bench. That could be a huge blow to this Buffalo offense.
Well, that's right. Now, let's take another look at this kick by Scott Norwood here. It appears to me, it appears that he cuts across. Watch his leg, folks. It kind of goes right to left. You see that? He pulled right across that ball.
And the ball wide of the goal post as Pittsburgh takes over. First down pass from Brister and a safe one to Hodge. Merrill Hodge on the screen. Takes it across the 35 to about the 37-yard line where he's knocked out of bounds by Kirby Jackson. Jackson was the starter a week ago, but now is in there replacing James Williams, who got the start this week but was shaken up early.
I look for Pittsburgh's offense to be a little more efficient now. That first series of down, give Walt Corey, the defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, some credit. They came out with 2 defensive linemen in a down position, and I promise you Pittsburgh wasn't looking for that. So I think they've made the adjustment, and we'll see a more efficient Pittsburgh offense.
Dwight Stone set wide to the left. Had an 89-yard touchdown catch a week ago. That's Cooper in motion, the rookie tight end. Brister, sack. Dr. Sack, Leon Seals lives up to his nickname and throws Brister for a loss.
I want to tell you folks something. Right now, they're putting pressure right here on this guard Hasselrig with Leon Seals, who is used to playing outside. He's going to penetrate right through Hasselrig, push him back, and make the play. Hasselrig hasn't played much guard, and the Bills are exploiting his abilities.
3rd and 14, 5 defensive backs. Let's see if Seals puts pressure on in this passing situation. Buffalo's going to have to spend a timeout. They didn't have the package they wanted on the field, so they'll spend one of their timeouts. We're scoreless in the first quarter.
Guys, doesn't get any better than this.
Doug Patterson was wrong, because when the shark fin started playing, it got somewhat better. And when the Swedish bikini team came surfing by, it got a little better. And when the treasure chest of old Milwaukee washed ashore, it most certainly got better. Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It just doesn't get any better than this.
On September 22nd, an unusual kind of car company will bring back the glamour of the automobile. Until then, we can only entice you. Watch NBC September 22nd. On September 22nd, you'll find out about a car company that made its new sports coupe as exciting to listen to as it is to drive. Watch NBC September 22nd.
Dear USA, there is a city where marketplaces are full of wonders, where giants play, troubadours entertain, and elves and dragons dance together. A magical city where the friends you make are friends for life. It's Barcelona. It's in Spain.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by the new Mazda. Mazda, it just feels right. By the U.S. Army and Army Reserve, be all you can be. By the Upjohn Company, if you're concerned about hair loss, see your doctor. And by Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light, it doesn't get any better than this.
Thurman Thomas, the star running back of the Bills, on his way off the field. Meanwhile, the Buffalo defense facing a crucial third down here. Third and long for the Steelers, and Brister's pass knocked down and incomplete. Intended for Lewis Lips. Jackson and Williams had double coverage, and Brister took a hit after he got rid of the ball.
Well, he's getting some pressure, I think. The young rookie defensive end, Phil Hansen, put some pressure on him. But Brister, I think, is fortunate that he put some air under this ball, because there's a perfect position by Jackson in the interception lane to make the play. Watch number 90, the rookie out of North Dakota. He's just relentless. He drives back there and hits Brister's leg. Kind of like Cunningham got hit a week ago.
Straczynski's first punt under pressure only covered 26 yards. And this one high. A rainmaker. Edwards with a fair catch, and he takes it at the Bill 38-yard line. Well, it's been a game of trading punts so far. The defense has been dominant. That one was high, but only covered 34 yards. But
you know, I'm curious to see this Bills offense without Thurman Thomas. I mean, Mr. Do-It-All is out of the game.
Thurman Thomas has been taken from the field with a left ankle injury. It'll be the Bills' ball when we return to Buffalo.
On September 22nd, you'll get your first look at a new luxury sedan that was designed by a sculptor. Until then, photo opportunities will be limited. Watch NBC September 22nd.
I can't tell you how it feels when you're way out there on your own tracking the bad guys. How it feels leading a skilled team that's the eyes and ears of the whole outfit. When all your training is coming alive. But finding those tanks and telling the air cavalry right where to hit them, I can tell you exactly how that feels.
This mask sculpture is famous for changing its appearance as the light changes around it. Even more remarkable is how it changed design at an unusual car company. To find out more, watch NBC September 22nd.
I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden in the shade.
Some kids take to swimming like a fish to water, and some don't. In fact, any child can drown in just 2 inches of water. Make the water safe for your child with the Red Cross Water Safety Program.
Under the sea in an octopus's garden in the shade.
Welcome back to Rich Stadium, where the pressure falls to Kenneth Davis. Thurman Thomas injured, taken from the field. Davis was the second leading rusher for the Bills last year behind Thurman Thomas. He's a 6-year veteran out of TCU, came to the Bills as a Plan B free agent from Green Bay. Spent 3 years with the Packers and was their leading rusher in 1987. Thurman Thomas taken to the locker room after injuring his left ankle. First down for the Bills. Kelly with plenty of time, dumps it to Reed. Third catch of the day for Andre Reed. It takes a hit, smashed down at the 45-yard line by David Johnson. 8-yard gain, and here's our first look at the 10-minute ticker as the Bucs get a field goal and move ahead of Chicago in the first quarter. In a day of field goals so far, Miami, New Orleans, and Minnesota all getting on the board. Kelly again, plenty of time, goes deep, and he's got a man. Lofton for the touchdown.
James Lofton just blew by Rod Woodson, one of the best defensive backs in the game. Obviously, Woodson was confused. Maybe he tripped up a little bit, but I was surprised not to find any help in the middle of the field to take that pass away from Lofton.
James Lofton, the veteran, 35 years old in his 14th year out of Stanford, the former track star, who was matched up against another former track star in Rod Woodson, and Lofton won that race in a big way. Norwood for the extra point. And it's good as the Bills take a 7-0 lead after a 53-yard strike. Jim Kelly to James Lofton.
On the top of this field right here, James Lofton is just going to blow right by to the inside of Woodson, has him turned, but where's the free safety? You see the safety wasn't there. He bit. Woodson expects help back there.
7-0 Bills.
On September 22nd, an unusual kind of car company will bring back the glamour of the automobile. Until then, we can only entice you. Watch NBC September 22nd.
Guys, it doesn't get any better than this.
Walt Smith was wrong, because when Muskrat Mike discovered gold, it got somewhat better. And when the Swedish bikini team came downstream, it got a little better. And when reinforcements of Old Milwaukee arrived, it most certainly got better. Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It just doesn't get any better than this.
On September 22nd, you'll find out about a car company that made its new sports coupe as exciting to listen to as it is to drive. Watch NBC September 22nd.
Monday, the all-new premiere of The Fresh Prince's new season is going to hit you like an... Get into the all-new Fresh Prince of Bel-Air on NBC Monday.
Well, folks, Rod Woodson right here gets turned around and Lofton beats him. But I want you to watch right here this safety, Thomas Everett, because he's going to level off back here and allow Lofton to get behind him. I got to believe that Ron Woodson at the top of your screen knows he has help at center field, and Everett never gets over there, you see. He's frozen on the 30-yard line, and the ball is over the top. That's a definite no-no on this Pittsburgh-style defense. They should always have a man back in the hole.
Meanwhile, the Bills had a 5-yard penalty for celebrating, and Marv Levy incensed. All the time we were away, he was chewing on that officiating crew, and he was hot after that 5-yard penalty. Well, James Lofton and the fans applauding the return of Thurman Thomas went to the locker room to have that left ankle examined, and obviously is back on the sideline. We'll see if he can return. He seems to be jogging behind the bench and would figured perhaps to return to the game the next time the Bills have the football, and that's bad news for the Steelers. He's the best in the business.
That footwork looks a little like Muhammad Ali in his young day, huh?
Here's Norwood's kickoff, a short one. Woodson takes it at the 20. And Woodson will get across the 30 to the 31-yard line, where he's stopped by Hal Garner, a return of 12 yards. Bubby Brister getting some last-minute instructions from Joe Walton, the Steelers' offensive coordinator. Brister suffering a concussion in the game against San Diego a week ago. He told us he's all right. He has a little soreness in his neck, but ready to go, and had a little to do with the Pittsburgh fans, too, who cheered when Neil O'Donnell came on to replace him in that game against San Diego. He said yesterday it was all blown out of proportion, though, and that the fans can do whatever they want to do. In fact, he played better after they let him know that they wanted his successor in there. Stone in motion, and Brister retreats. Completes to Lips. Shakes one tackler and fights for a first down. Shane Conlon finally gets Lips out after Louis Lips made the reception and then spun away from James Williams.
Louis Lips is just going to run a stop pattern, putting a little pressure on the cornerback. They still respect his speed. The key about this play right here is Pittsburgh's offensive line finally gave Brister a little time. Brister has really been under some pressure. Louis Lips, he's only had 100-yard receiving game all the last season, and Pittsburgh would like Lips to kind of break out and make some more catches, get the ball to him more often.
13 yards on the first Steeler first down of the game. Play action pass. Brister's got a man wide open. It's complete to his tight end Malarkey, and Malarkey rambles until he's knocked out of bounds by James Williams for 15 yards. Spot the ball at the Bill 40-yard line, and Joe Walton's offense starting to cook now on this possession.
Well, Joe Walton likes a lot of misdirection plays. This time he flows his offense completely to the left. But right up here on the end position is Malarkey, who's going to fake a block and then slip out. All the flow is going to come toward you folks at home. Malarkey's blocking. Now he slips off his block, and he's wide open.
First down for the Steelers. They trail 7-0. Merrill Hodge only got a yard to the 40 or to the 39-yard line, where Cornelius Bennett makes the tackle.
Oh, Bennett played a well of a game last week. They moved Cornelius Bennett to the inside when they had problems stopping the Miami rushing defense. And Coach Walt Corey, the defensive coordinator for the Bills, who is from Latrobe, PA, I might add, said, Cornelius, you just go to the ball. Track the ball down and make the play. And that's what Mr. Bennett does at his best.
Chris Callaway comes in a wide receiver spot for the Steelers. He's set wide to the left on 2nd and 8. Green in motion. Pitch. Hodge. Again, not much. A yard or so. Phil Hansen, the rookie defensive end, with Nate Odoms coming up from the corner to make the stop on Hansen.
I will tell you, Phil Hansen is fired up. Number 90, folks, right on the hash mark, is going to pursue behind the blocking and make the play. I talked with him before the game. He said, hey, this is an opportunity a lot of rookies don't get, to be able to start this early in the NFL. Heck, I know I'm not Bruce Smith, and Bruce Smith's going to have the job when he comes back. He said, but this is the greatest opportunity any rookie defensive lineman could ask for, and I'm going to make the best of it.
Marv Levy said he has the tools. He just needs experience. He's getting it today. Steelers with a third down. Play action from the shotgun. Brister scrambles and then throws a diving catch made by Hodge. The pass was behind him, and it will be short of the first down. Talley and Odoms made sure that Hodge got no more after he made a good catch. An update on the scores: Tampa Bay 3 up on the Bears now. Phoenix, a hot team after the opening week, huh? New Orleans blanking Kansas City.
You know, that Kansas City team, Tom, is a good team, but they don't have a run defense yet. I don't think they're going to be a top contender until they get their rushing defense together.
Field goal attempt by Gary Anderson. It'll be a 51-yard attempt. Kick is up. And no good. The very dependable Gary Anderson, just a little off his range, misses, and with 5:31 left in the first half, Buffalo maintains a 7-0 lead. Well, coming up, the second half of our doubleheader today, most of you will see the San Diego Chargers invading Candlestick Park to tangle with the San Francisco 49ers. Others will see John Elway and the Broncos take on the L.A. Raiders. Some will see the Jets against the Seahawks. All coming up next, doubleheader day here on NBC. Thurman Thomas back in the Buffalo lineup now after being taken to the dressing room to examine his left ankle, and he gets the pass from Kelly. Thomas with a blocker in front, dodges one tackler, and is taken down at about the 39-yard line of the Buffalo Bills. Marv Levy sending his ace back into the fray after he was shaken up on the first series of downs for the Bills.
Pittsburgh knows they're not going to shut Thomas down. They're not going to shut Reed down, but they want Thomas and Reed to pay for every yard they get. They're going to hit him hard.
Thomas, who was set as a wideout, makes another catch. He's at midfield into Steeler territory down to the 46-yard line. Rod Woodson had to come up to stop Thurman Thomas, who lined up as a wide receiver.
Thomas on the right side of the screen will come into view in the center of the screen right here. Now, there's not a Pitt defender around. I don't care what the Steelers say about not being concerned with this no-huddle offense. It throws their tempo off. It throws their tempo off, and it breaks their concentration, and that's the big tight end, McKellar, Tom, that's down on the field.
He was shaken up with an injury against Miami a week ago and is hurt here again.
Number 84 right there. McKellar gets shaken up. Someone falls into him. He gets bumped. Everybody's knocking him down. Look at that right leg gets bent back behind McKellar. And, folks, I promise you, that's awful painful.
Keith McKellar made 35 receptions a year ago. Fourth on the team. Played just 1 year of football in college, had 4 years of basketball. In fact, the number 2 all-time rebounder at Jacksonville State in Alabama, who won the Division II National Championship in 1985. During his basketball career, he pulled down over 1,200 rebounds. Just a newcomer to the football game, and the coaches think a lot of him. He'll be replaced by another former basketball player, Pete Metzelaars, in his 10th year out of Wabash. He played basketball at Wabash when they won the Division III National Basketball Championship. So the two tight ends that play primarily for the Bills were on national championship basketball teams. Metzelaars at Wabash and McKellar at Jacksonville State.
And Metzelaars has played quite often. He doesn't have the speed of McKellar, but he can catch the ball. He has good hands.
He has the all-time Buffalo tight end receiving record, 128. Reverse to Thomas. Nothing there. The Steelers were ready for it.
The Steelers were ready for it. I tell you, Thomas didn't get a handle on that ball. Jim Kelly sticks the ball in Thomas's gut, or is it in his gut? Does he hit a perfect handoff from this viewpoint, but Thomas smartly held on to the ball, or didn't try to make that handoff anyway.
Meanwhile, Jim Kelly has hit all 6 of his pass attempts. Pumps once, delivers again, and that's his first miss of the day as he overshoots Andre Reed.
Kelly wanted to get to Metzelaars that time, but Pittsburgh fooled Jim Kelly. They had 2 linebackers sandwiching Metzelaars. Kelly's getting good protection, and he's the first one to tell you, hey, this no huddle offense is great because of my offensive line, because of Andre Reed and Thurman Thomas. These are the guys in Lofton. They make it go.
Lofton wide to the right, Beebe and Reed to the left. Kelly's pass. A little off target and a defensive call. Interference against David Johnson. Lofton went down to one knee, and Johnson, whom you see right there, number 44, made contact before he had a chance to catch the ball.
Well, it was just a little bit of contact if he did make contact. Lofton presses downfield, and then he comes back. And
defensive pass interference, number 44, first down.
Take a look at this, folks. You'll see David Johnson on Lofton. Now, Lofton's going to push him, and when they get turned, I guess David Johnson's going to get his hands on him somehow. Right now, I don't see the penalty. I never did see the penalty. I tell you, he got his left hand hooked around there, and that's a pretty weak call.
Nevertheless, a first down for the Bills. Reed almost made a circus catch, but it falls incomplete as Kelly delivered the ball behind him. Rod Woodson was defending on the play.
Just an overthrow by Kelly this time. Reed has an opening right there. He's open for a while, but Kelly just overthrows the ball slightly behind Reed.
No huddle continues. 2nd and 10 for the Bills. Kelly feels pressure for the first time and goes down. That time, the Steelers got good pressure. Keith Willis was the man that pounced on Kelly for the sack. He was number 2 in sacks with 5 a year ago and has 53 career sacks now, which is number 3 all-time in Steeler history.
Best pass defense there is pressure on the quarterback. At that time, the linebackers in secondary took away Kelly's receivers.
3rd and 15, and that one dropped. Thurman Thomas couldn't handle it. It'll be 4th down for Buffalo.
Scott Norwood under some pressure again. You won't see Thomas drop too many of them, by the way. I tell you, after Norwood missed that field goal in the Super Bowl last year, I felt like he was going to have a very tough time here in Buffalo. But these fans let him know that they love him and that they're supportive of him. However, if he misses this field goal, I'm going to, well, I just got a feeling that this love relationship is going to wane a bit. He better make this one.
50-yarder by Norwood, who is 0 for 2 this season. And that one got there.
A big kick, a lot of pressure on Norwood. They want to say there's no pressure, but when you're missing and you miss that one in the Super Bowl, there's big pressure. I think he's relieved, folks.
And from the look on his face, you would have thought he missed it. What about Marv Levy? He wants to see his kicker break out of that slump. Darryl Talley getting a close look at it, too. And Levy takes it rather matter-of-factly, but he has to be relieved that perhaps the pressure now off Scott Norwood. He made one and a long one at that, 50 yards.
No doubt a big kick for Norwood. 50 yards out, accurate. Look at this. 1 for 8, 50 yards out, so he broke kind of a slump at that distance, certainly.
First 50-yarder or more of his career. So Scott Norwood perhaps shaking that slump. And Buffalo would be even more formidable if they get Scott Norwood back in form. They have a 10-0 lead here with 3:27 left in the first quarter.
Well, I think so far the story's been this Buffalo Bill defense. They've crossed up the Steelers. Bubby Brister hasn't been able to have the time he needs to complete passes. So right now, Norwood's field goal and the touchdown by Lofton's the difference, but I think it's the Buffalo Bill defense that's doing a well of a job out there.
Does Pittsburgh abandon its ball control game plan now, down 10 points in the first quarter?
I don't think they've gotten to their ball control game plan yet. They certainly haven't controlled any. Bubby Brister standing with Joe Walton, the offensive coordinator. Well, they've got to get time for Brister, first of all, to throw the ball, but it's the running lanes that they want to get open because they do need to keep the ball away from that potent Bill offense.
Norwood's kick will come to Woodson at about the 19. Woodson with another good return. Rod Woodson, maybe the best returner in football at the moment, both punts and kickoffs. Takes that one across the 40 to the 42-yard line, a return of 25 yards. Jones and Bentley combining on the stop. Next Saturday, the world's top cyclists take to the streets of Stuttgart, Germany, as NBC's Olympic Showcase presents the World Cycling Championships. You'll see 3-time Tour de France winner and 1989 world champion American Greg LeMond in action. The World Cycling Championships next Saturday here on NBC. Are the split backs behind Bubby Brister on a first down play. Foster with a good run, turns the corner and dives for a first down. Inside the 35 to the 33-yard line where he's finally tripped up by Leonard Smith.
This Pittsburgh offense is going against the defense they haven't seen. Foster and his mates are confronted with a 5-linebacker alignment by the Buffalo Bills. If you look at it here, all of these guys right in here are linebackers, and they only have 2 defensive linemen. Pittsburgh hasn't seen that kind of defense, and so their blocking schemes are a little fouled up.
First down play for the Steelers, and it's Foster again. Foster with a good cut to the outside, taken out of bounds inside the Bill 30 by Nate Odoms. 2 consecutive 14-yard runs by Barry Foster.
Take a look at this, folks, from the end zone. A huge hole to the right of the screen. Barry Foster follows the lead block of Merrill Hodge on Shane Conlon, and then he jumps outside. I tell you what, you got to give credit to Joe Walton right now. In my opinion, Pittsburgh seems to have made the adjustment, albeit we're almost out of the first quarter. But with 5 linebackers and 2 defensive linemen, Joe Walton seems to have found the weakness of this defense.
Chuck Noll told us yesterday it was just a matter of finding Barry Foster room in the lineup. They always thought he was good enough. He has been the Steelers' leading rusher so far this season. That time, Merrill Hodge gets the call and is dropped in his tracks by Cornelius Bennett.
Well, Cornelius Bennett is going for that football. He's lined up right in the middle of the field, and he just shoots the gap and fills that hole quickly. Right in the middle. He didn't get a man on him. No one blocked Cornelius Bennett. There's still confusion out there. Take a close-up look at this, and number 97 fills in there, and DeMonte Dawson did not get a good hat, a good helmet on the middle linebacker.
Here's Cornelius Bennett, Biscuit his nickname, 3 times to the Pro Bowl. 2nd and 10. Play action pass. Brister rolls the other way, again wide open. The tight end Malarkey, and Malarkey lowers his head and pounds to the 8-yard line. Mark Kelso hanging on for dear life as Malarkey, under a head of steam, takes it for 21 yards and a first down.
The flow of the Pittsburgh offense goes right, and on the left side, Malarkey's going to sneak out wide open. Eric Green is going to come in and lay a hit on the safety. Ooh, did he hit Leonard Smith right there? Both times the Steelers have run this play, they've been successful. Malarkey has not had a defender covering him.
2 receptions, 36 yards. Malarkey, 1st and goal Steelers in the closing seconds of the first quarter. Brister with a pass on 1st down. Too hard to handle for Eric Green.
Well, too hard to handle. Eric comes off the line kind of 3/4 speed. He's not really turning on. He seems a little surprised by the heat on this pass, but I think Brister needed to throw it hard, and it was just a little behind Green. That's why he couldn't get his hands up. The velocity of that ball was just such that Green couldn't make that turn.
37 seconds left in the quarter. 2nd and goal from the 9. Brister's hit 5 of 8. Brister had his first 300-yard passing performance against Buffalo back in 1988. He went for 333 yards. Hand it to Foster. Foster looks for a block, can't get outside. Taken down after a gain of 1 by Carlton Bailey. You see the clock ticking away for the first quarter, and Chuck Noll leads a score here.
You get inside of the 20-yard line, they call it the red zone, the going in zone, and all that, and Pittsburgh had a tough time getting touchdowns last week inside the 20. They got the field goals from Anderson, but they won't get across the goal line in the first quarter.
And the first quarter will come to an end. Buffalo Bills have taken a 10-0 lead on Joe Walton and the Pittsburgh Steelers, with Pittsburgh threatening when we come back.
Oil. It's the lifeblood of your engine. That makes your oil filter your engine's most vital organ. That's why Fram keeps going the extra mile to make the best protection even better. Introducing the new Fram Extra Guard. New glass fiber paper stops more dirt than any other filter for the best protection ever. The new Fram Extra Guard. American or import, it's an extra lease on life.
Today, a guy losing his hair can choose between being the man he wants to be
We look great with hair. Do something to save it.
and the man he could become.
Can't you accept nature like everyone else?
Doctors have hair loss treatment programs that are proven to work, and the sooner you see a doctor, the better.
We don't want nature. We want hair.
When you've considered the arguments,
We might look great bald.
and you decide you want hair, there's only one thing to do. See your doctor, or call this number for more information.
Unfortunately, this is how we live. Groceries in, garbage out. Groceries in, garbage out. Fortunately, there are aluminum cans. You use them and recycle them. Use them and recycle them. It's that easy. So please do your part. We're not asking you to save the world. We're just asking you to take better care of it.
Dodgers. A Wild West showdown. Next.
Last year's NFL Defensive Player of the Year, Bruce Smith, recovering from arthroscopic knee surgery and still out. Possible he could return next week. More likely 2 weeks from today that he'll be back in the Bill lineup. And there is his replacement, Bill Hansen, the rookie second-round draft choice from North Dakota State. At the end of the first quarter, the Bills dominating the stats except for passing. 3rd and goal. 3 tight ends for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Brister is in the shotgun. 3rd and goal from the 8. Brister's pass, short hop, slips, and incomplete. Williams was all over him. Pittsburgh still hasn't converted a 3rd down today. They're 0 for 4, and they'll settle for a field goal attempt. Gary Anderson has made 52 straight from the 35-yard line in, so this is well within his range, and that's the streak he has going. It'll be 25 yards. Looking to get the Steelers on the board.
What are the odds on this? And I say he makes it.
Good. Don't go out on a limb on me now. Straczynski holds, and Anderson's kick is on target. The Pittsburgh Steelers have to settle for a field goal, but they are on the scoreboard. It's Buffalo leading 10-3 at the opening of the second quarter.
Because if you don't watch your figure, who will?
It's the right field now.
Because when it comes to water, the only place to start is at the top.
It's the right field now.
Because when the party's going full steam, you don't want to fill up. So reach for the beer that won't slow you down. The Silver Bullet.
It's not a wagon, not a van, but whatever you're dragging, Expo can. Introducing Mitsubishi Expo and Expo LRV. Got some stuff with a lot of people? Expo seats from 7 deep. Well, got some people with a lot of stuff? LRV is more than enough. Not too big, not too small. Available with all-wheel drive, they'll haul you every day or on a getaway. Expo and Expo LRV. We call them sport wagons, but they're whatever you want them to be. Mitsubishi, the word is getting around.
I'm a big man.
Why do so many men stick with Bic?
I'm a big man.
Because there's a Bic for every beard. Regular, sensitive, metal.
Yeah, I'm a big man.
I'm a big man.
The temperature never drops below Xerex. That's important to remember at a time like this, when it's very dark and very cold. Ah, you did remember Xerex Antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerex. Next Saturday, 3-time Tour de France winner Greg LeMond takes on the world's best in the crown jewel of cycling, the World Cycling Championships on NBC.
Buffalo with a 7-point lead as you look at Ted Marchibroda, the Bills' offensive coordinator, who, by the way, was the first-round draft choice of the Pittsburgh Steelers back in 1953 and played quarterback for Pittsburgh 53, 55, and 56.
You know, he was also NFL head coach of the year back in '75. He took a Baltimore Colt team that was 2-12, and the next season, folks, he won the division with a 10-4 season as head coach, NFL coach of the year.
Ball blows off the tee before Anderson can send it on its way. You know, Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas were very high, very lavish in their praise of Ted Marchibroda yesterday. In fact, Jim Kelly said he gives them so much freedom that often Kelly and Frank Reich, the backup quarterback, put plays of their own into the system. Edwards takes the kick deep in his end zone and will down it there.
Kickoff is down in the end zone. Will be 1st and 10 Buffalo.
Both of these offenses, Kelly's and Brister's, have had good field position to work with because of the kicking game, basically the returns. This time, Anderson did not allow a return, kicked the ball in the end zone, so this is the toughest field position Buffalo started with.
There's Jim Kelly. He's hit 6 of 9 on the day, and he'll line up behind his center, Kent Hull, number 67. Hull told us yesterday his biggest fear of this no-huddle offense is that he doesn't know whether Kelly is in the shotgun or under center. Pass. Reed couldn't hold on. Carnell Lake was wrestling for the football with Andre Reed. It falls incomplete. Now let's check our ITT 10-minute ticker. Phoenix with a 10-0 lead on Philadelphia. Tom Tupa hit Johnny Johnson with a 51-yard scoring pass in that one. And for Tampa, Barry Anderson with a 64-yard run. See all the other scores. Second down play, and the handoff. Thurman Thomas. Thomas close to a first down. He'll have it across the 30-yard line. Finally tripped up by Larry Griffin. 11-yard gain.
Well, Thomas makes a lot of this on his own. That's what his offensive linemen say. Hardy Nickerson, the linebacker for the Steelers, had a good shot at Thomas, but Thomas can break tackles, and he keeps fighting forward. He earns a lot of that yardage with his own abilities.
Kelly completes it in the flat to Thomas. Thomas gets across the 35 to the 36-yard line, stopped by Hardy Nickerson and David Johnson.
Take a look at the play just previous to this one. Thomas breaking through the line here. Excellent blocking up front. Nickerson will get a hat on Thomas right there, number 54. But look at that leg drive. Look how Thomas is fighting forward to get the first down.
Thomas again, stumbling forward and stopped for a gain of 1 or 2 by Brian Hinkle.
Okay, I'm surprised to see Kelly operate from underneath center at all. What he did on the first down play, there should have been an interception of the pass. The reason I'm surprised is Jim told us yesterday that his ankle is really sore. And when he has to turn and run back to pass, it hurts most.
Ooh, pass complete. Thurman Thomas, the workhorse, takes the complete pass, and for the first time today, the Bills have converted a third down. Thomas now comes out of the game, replaced by Kenneth Davis. The no-huddle continues. We were talking about center Kent Hull. He said last year it was a game that was so cold that his butt got numb. Here's a reverse to Reed. Reed with Kelly blocking for him. Has a first down, 11-yard gain. He's out of bounds inside the 45 of the Steelers. Richard Shelton nudged him out.
Well, we've seen Pittsburgh's offense send the flow one way. This time the Buffalo Bills will send their flow this way. And all these Pittsburgh guys are going to come here, and this Reed is just simply going to run in the other direction and get the handoff right there at the top right side of the screen, and there's no one over there.
Kenneth Davis, Thomas's replacement, getting the call and getting about 5 yards before Carnell Lake makes the tackle, and Joe Green not happy with his defensive unit at the moment. In fact, giving Aaron Jones a piece of his mind.
Well, I talked to Joe Green before the game. He told me Aaron Jones is improving. He's not there yet, certainly. He has some young players, but he's pleased with their efforts.
Lofton in the flat, surrounded by Steelers and nowhere to go. Osofsky at the bottom of the stack for the Steelers. They had that one smelled out. Lofton was surrounded.
Boy, Osofsky amazes me at 219 pounds. My goodness, he's very light for an inside linebacker, but he's a smart linebacker. He can read the offense, and he has a way of playing off blockers. But gee whiz, Jerry Osofsky at 218 pounds, folks, is not going to play off a 280-pound guard very often.
Gardner and Davis, the split backs behind Jim Kelly on 3rd and 1. Not much there. It'll be close for Kenneth Davis. Stacked up for the center of the Pittsburgh defense, and it'll be very close to see whether he gets the first down or not. They'll measure.
Not very much push by that big offensive line of the Bills. The Steelers are really penetrate. They come off hard and low into that ball, and you can see the high backs of the Buffalo Bill line. When the line gets up high like that, they don't get very much push or much leverage on the defensive line, and that's why there's a big pileup.
Here's the measurement, and it is enough for a first down. When I started the story about the center Kent Hull, I should have known better in that no-huddle offense, but he said last year they were playing in a game in Buffalo, and it was so cold here that his butt got numb, and he couldn't tell whether Kelly was underneath the center in the shotgun. He thought he was right underneath center, and he snapped the ball. It went straight up in the air because Kelly was back in the shotgun, his most embarrassing moment. Kelly for the end zone. Touchdown! Don Beebe with his first NFL touchdown on a 34-yard pass from Jim Kelly.
Beautiful timing from Jim Kelly to Beebe. Beebe just ran right past David Johnson. And Kelly released the ball, folks. I mean, he released it before Beebe was open, and he delivered it right into Beebe's arm. Beebe has some burning speed.
Now Norwood for the extra point. And the kick is good. Jim Kelly strikes again. And with 11:14 left in the first half, Buffalo extends its lead.
It's a symbol of security for millions of Americans. A document that protects your rights in all 50 states. And an inspiration for all who honor it. It's the Goodyear Promise. Available only with Goodyear Certified Auto Service. It includes a nationwide warranty that promises we'll fix your car right or fix it again free at 2,700 locations nationwide. Good tires, good service, good people, Goodyear.
Whether you're crossing the Sahara or climbing Kilimanjaro or hiking through Hoboken, keep in mind, 2/3 of the Earth is covered by water. We do. Waterproof Rockports, all-terrain vehicles for your feet.
It's not a wagon, not a van, but whatever you're dragging, Expo can. Introducing Mitsubishi Expo and Expo LRV. Got some stuff with a lot of people? Expo seats from 7 deep. Well, got some people with a lot of stuff? LRV is more than enough. Not too big, not too small. Available with all-wheel drive, they'll haul you every day or on a getaway. Expo and Expo LRV. We call them sport wagons, but they're whatever you want them to be. Mitsubishi, the word is getting around.
The all-terrain soles of the new high-performance Rockports have a technologically unique design of lugs and grooves and gripping cups in a high-traction gummy rubber compound. So you won't fall off the mountain. Rockports, all-terrain vehicles for your feet.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Coors Light. The Silver Bullet is the right beer now. By Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. Mitsubishi, the word is getting around. By MetLife, get Met, it pays. And by the good tires, good service, and good people at your nearby Goodyear retailer.
Scott Norwood ready to kick off after the Buffalo touchdown. Woodson will be deep for the Steelers. As Don Beebe, I said his first career NFL catch. I should have said first of the season, first touchdown catch of the season for Beebe. Woodson from the 15. Being chased and tripped up by Steve Tasker. The special teams performer supreme for the Buffalo Bills. The special teams captain who's been to the Pro Bowl twice as a special teams performer.
Let's take a look at that touchdown here. You see Don Beebe up here, and he runs right past Johnson, who doesn't level off enough. The pass is right on time. The safety right now, Thomas Everett, can't get to that corner. The ball is really perfectly placed for this defense. I'd have to say that David Johnson didn't get out of his back pedal enough. Number 44 on the left side of the screen, you see, folks, he was eyeing Kelly a little bit too long, and Beebe just breezed by.
Don Beebe in his third year out of Chadron State in Nebraska. Bubby Brister on target for a gain of about 5 to Eric Green. Darryl Talley chasing him, knocks him out of bounds. And there is a look at Don Beebe catching his first touchdown pass of the season in an 80-yard, 10-play drive for the Buffalo Bills.
Gosh, we mentioned the weapons the Bills have on offense with Andre Reed and Thurman Thomas and Jim Kelly, and we have to remember Beebe also. He just breezed right by the quarterback, and Kelly just threw a marvelous pass that time. Eric Green limping a bit on the sideline.
Chris Callaway into the game for the Steelers on 2nd down and 5. Forward, dives for a gain of 3. Mike Lodish getting the start at nose tackle for Walt Corey's Buffalo defense. Makes the tackle.
Well, the Latrobe, Pennsylvania native played his days in the NFL. He played out there with Denver. He was a good player, and he has crossed up this Pittsburgh offense today. He told me yesterday he had some surprises, but I didn't think he'd start 5 linebackers, Tom, and he's using Cornelius Bennett in the middle there, and the Pittsburgh center and guards are having a very difficult time trying to get their hat in the middle of Cornelius Bennett.
3rd and 2, and the Steelers 0 for 4 on 3rd down conversions. The Bills with 5 defensive backs as Lips goes in motion. Penalties down. One of the Steeler offensive linemen moved prematurely. It'll be 3rd and 7 coming up now for Brister and company.
The offensive line gets a little nervous when they're putting pressure on the quarterback. Joe Walton hates to see this.
We have a false start prior to the snap. 62 offense. 3rd down.
Offensive coordinators don't like their offensive team stopping themselves. And Antonucci in that time was just a little bit in a hurry. 3 penalties so far for the Steelers, but this could turn into a critical one. It's taking Pittsburgh from a 3rd and 2 situation to 3rd and 7.
The Steelers will send Lips and Callaway wide to the right, with Warren Williams and Merrill Hodge setbacks flanking Brister. Lips in motion. Brister with time delivers the pass complete to Warren Williams, but he is short, well short of a 1st down. J.D. Williams makes the tackle. Let's check in now with Bob Costas for an NFL update.
4th and 5.
Tom, on 4th and goal, Cleveland lines up tackle Paul Ferrin as an eligible receiver, but the pass from Kozar is broken up. And look at the emotion by new head coach Dick McPherson of the Patriots. This is more fun than Syracuse. New England's 1-0, the score 0-0 at Foxborough in the 2nd as the Browns come up empty. Tom?
All right, Bob. McPherson was delivering punches to his players on the sideline, even tried to headbutt a couple of them last week as the Patriots won. Here's the punt by Straczynski, taken by Al Edwards, and good field position for the Buffalo Bills. They'll start at their own 36-yard line after a 40-yard punt by Straczynski. Jim Kelly and company in command of this one with 9 minutes left in the opening half.
Ever since Mitsubishi Motors began 75 years ago, the diamond has been used as the unbending guiding principle of Mitsubishi quality. The name Mitsubishi means 3 diamonds. Now, for its diamond anniversary, Mitsubishi proudly introduces the Diamante, a new luxury performance sedan that is brilliant in every facet. The new Diamante from Mitsubishi. The word is getting around.
MetLife manages assets of over $125 billion. When 45 million people count on you for insurance and financial services, you can never be too strong. Get Met. It pays.
1 year ago, a wing and a prayer helped Notre Dame capture a dramatic come-from-behind victory.
Caught by Adrian Gerald on a deflection. What a play!
In 2 weeks, these teams meet again as the Michigan State Spartans invade South Bend to battle the Fighting Irish. Notre Dame football is home on NBC.
17-3, the Buffalo lead over Pittsburgh. And the Bills with the football and 9 minutes left in the first half. Jim Kelly bought 111 tickets for today's game. He has a lot of fans and relatives from East Brady, Pennsylvania, where he grew up, a suburb of Pittsburgh, and usually has a party after every game at his home. He had to rent a restaurant for the party tonight, so many people are coming. And if things continue this way, they'll have a lot to celebrate, although that pass intended for Beebe is incomplete. Here's our ITT 10-minute ticker now as we update you on all the scores. Phoenix 13-0 on the Randall Cunningham-less Eagles. New Orleans with a big lead, and Detroit ahead of Green Bay. Kelly, wide open Reed. Andre Reed reverses field down the middle, and just tripped up at the last minute by David Johnson. Reed almost broke it. Kelly continue to chew up what was, by all accounts, a pretty good Pittsburgh defense.
Well, you know, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Ron Woodson, the rest of the guys say, well, this no-huddle offense doesn't bother us. But I have to believe it does. It takes them out of the tempo they're used to. It takes them out of hooking up out there in the field and talking to one another.
Thurman Thomas gets the corner. David Johnson again just to trip up Thurman Thomas, or he was going to go a long way. As it is, he went about 8 yards.
Sure, there's some confusion on Pittsburgh's behalf, but it's the execution. There's Dave Brazil, the defensive coordinator of the Steelers. It is really the execution by the Bills that's getting Brazil's defense.
Kelly hands to Thomas. Thurman Thomas. He told us yesterday he wants to become the equal of Roger Craig in gaining 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving in the same season. He got off to a great start a week ago as he became the first Buffalo player ever over 100 rushing and receiving in the same game.
Thurman Thomas, folks, is tough. I mean, he left the game a while ago with that ankle injury. Look at that leg drive. He just insists on getting that final yard.
First down from the 15. Thomas again tries to roll away from a tackle and gets only about a yard. A host of white-shirted defenders in there with Donald Evans down at the bottom of the stack. He has been running wild on the NFL, and last year led the league in all-purpose yards. 3 wides to the left. Kelly goes right. Beebe with another touchdown. Norwood has been a busy man today as the no-huddle continues to live up to its billing as the best offense in the NFL. The runaway freight train that is the no-huddle offense. Beebe has 2 scores today, and it's 24-3. The route is on.
In Japan, where the luxury performance sedan has been revolutionized by Lexus and Infiniti, a new luxury performance sedan has just won Japan's highest honor. Introducing the new Diamante from Mitsubishi, Japan's car of the year. Mitsubishi. The word is getting around.
It's still the same old story, a fight for love and glory, a case of do or die. The fundamental things apply as time goes by.
Monday, it's an NBC special preview when the Fresh Prince shakes up the new season with an... But don't worry, he'll be fine.
I'm a grown man. I'm under a table clutching a teddy bear. Okay? I am not fine.
Then, we've shown you them all summer.
Did the lens break there?
Now watch Mark and Brian do whatever it takes to sing and dance with the Temptations. The Adventures of Mark and Brian after an all-new Fresh Prince of Bel-Air previewing Monday on NBC.
The party could start early in Buffalo. It's 24-3 Bills with just under 7 minutes left in the first half. Don Beebe already has caught 2 touchdown passes today. The last one, it took only 6 plays to cover 63 yards. The clincher, that 14-yard strike to Beebe. Rod Woodson, who normally returns kickoffs for the Steelers, over on the bench. And it's Dwight Stone in his place. Perhaps Woodson is injured. We'll get a report from the bench. has to sprint to get it and then falls down and is covered there at about the 23-yard line. Steve Tasker once again makes the stop, and Rod Woodson, who not only is the premier kick and punt returner for the Steelers, but is a valuable member of that defensive secondary. Looks like he has ice on his left arm, perhaps left forearm. Woodson had a cut on his left arm. Perhaps it opened up with the contact here in the first half. I don't know.
Something opened up in that Pittsburgh defense is what the problem is. They have to stop the bleeding there.
Buffalo has outgained Pittsburgh 249 yards to 100 in total offense. On the ground to Foster. Foster turns the corner, makes a good gain out of it, close to the first down marker. A gain of nearly 10 before J.D. Williams makes the tackle for Buffalo. Steelers, though down 24-3, electing to stay on the ground. They'll try to mix it up a little bit. They'll mark the ball after a gain of 9, so make it 2nd and 1 for the Steelers.
Let's take a look at that touchdown that Beebe scored the last time. Beebe's up here, and he'll run inside, but Metzelaars holds Thomas Everett to safety, and that's why this pass is completed. You see, Beebe gets inside of Johnson, and Everett doesn't get over there to break up the play.
Pittsburgh safeties have been burned a couple of times today. Warren Williams on the carry gets the first down, but not much more. Ray Bentley on the tackle for the Buffalo Bills.
What a good feeling the Buffalo Bills defense must have, knowing that they're playing without Bruce Smith and Jeff Wright, their premier defensive linemen. This Buffalo Bill defense, coached by Corey, has crossed up the Steelers' offense. 5 linebackers they have going at Pittsburgh out there, and only 2 defensive linemen. And Pittsburgh hasn't been able to block this defensive scheme consistently.
Hanson and Seals, the down linemen, Talley, Patton, Bentley, Conlon, and Bennett to back it. Risker's pass in the flat. Williams on the screen. Big pursuit for the Buffalo Bills, led by Bennett and Bentley. Bentley's got not much, and here's Woodson, who missed all of training camp with a holdout. Came back and played very well against San Diego last week, but they say now it's just fatigue that has Woodson on the sideline, unable to return that last kickoff.
Well, that's another thing that no-huddle offense does. These defensive backs that are running downfield must hurry back and get in position and run again. They don't get the kind of break that they're normally used to. And there's David Johnson, who's been beaten for a couple of touchdowns by Don Beebe.
2nd and 6. Hodge through the middle, short of the first down by about a yard, where he's tackled by Leon Seals.
You know, this game plan of the Steelers offense is working in one respect. I think they have an edge on time of possession. The bad news is it hasn't taken the Bills very long to score points.
Last time they covered 63 yards in 6 plays or something of that nature, so it hasn't been ball control for Joe Walton's offense today, as the offensive coordinator of the Steelers and head coach Chuck Noll have seen their defense blitzed by the no-huddle. Pittsburgh looking for its first 3rd down conversion. This is their 6th try, and Foster will get it and more. Barry Foster still on his feet. Great run by Foster for the touchdown.
Barry Foster carries.
Just what the doctor ordered for these Steeler fans. Barry Foster refused to go down, just ran over people and shook off Mark Kelso at the end. Got a tremendous block from Eric Green that sprung him. Wonderful effort by Barry Foster.
56 yards. Barry Foster. We'll see if that can put a charge into the Steeler team now. Anderson with the extra point attempt. And play held up before he can get the kick away. Anderson.
The officials have ruled touchdown. It's being reviewed by instant replay.
Well, instant replay is taking a look at that one after it's been called a touchdown on the field. Are they looking to see if perhaps he had stepped out of bounds?
That's the only thing I can think of, Tom. He was close to that sidelines. trying to keep away from it.
After further review, the play will stand as called. Touchdown, try the point.
So that's that, huh?
So pretty clear cut. It didn't take long to decide the touchdown stands, and Anderson hit his only 2-point after attempts a week ago, and has hit 294 in his career. Tops for the Steelers, makes it 295.
Barry Anderson's extra point makes it Buffalo 24.
Let's take a look at that touchdown run by Barry Foster. He'll go off the left side in a gap, and then the rest of it is all Barry Foster and Eric Green. You watch his feet, folks, and see if he steps out of bounds. But Mark Kelso does a pretty good job of trying to hold on up top to get help. There just wasn't any help. Now watch this block. Woo-wee. That's Eric Green hitting Shane Conlon. What a fine offensive play. Once again, here's the telestrator. We're going to get defensive pressure here. Right in here, a huge hole is going to open up, and then down the sideline, Foster's going to go. Look at that hole right there. My goodness gracious. Good pursuit by Conlon, but he nearly catches up to the play. Look at this effort. Conlon is still in the chase, but here's Eric Green with a nice hit. Oh, my goodness.
Well, they were halfway to the morgue, but the Steelers aren't pronounced dead yet.
Halfway to the morgue, huh?
24-10 with 4:06 left in the second quarter. Now, though, they've got to stop that potent no-huddle offense, Jim Kelly. Kicked out of the end zone by Gary Anderson.
Critical defensive series right now for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'll tell you why. Momentum makes a great deal of difference going in at halftime. The team that goes in at halftime feeling like they have control of this thing has a better shot the second half. Now, if Pittsburgh can stop Buffalo now, maybe get another 3 points or so, Pittsburgh will take that momentum into the halftime and come out a better team. Hey, I'm anxious to see what the Jets do against Seattle this afternoon.
That's one of the doubleheader games you'll see coming up next on NBC. Rod Woodson back at his cornerback spot for the Steelers after getting some oxygen on the bench. Thurman Thomas with a short gain before Hardy Nickerson makes the hit with some help from his other Pittsburgh defenders.
Hey, you know, I imagine a lot of people are wondering about Woodson. He missed a lot of training camp. I wonder if that's influenced his conditioning a bit. They told us he was too tired to return that kick, and possibly that training camp absence has hurt him.
And it'll have something to do with it. Pass is juggled by Beebe for a moment. Finally gets the handle on it and takes it to the 25-yard line, short of the first down. Nickerson with his second straight tackle. Don't forget, at halftime, stay with us, Costas, McDonough, and Simpson with all the scores and highlights. Week 2 of the NFL season. 3 wide, set to the left, and Kelly goes that way and completes it to Andre Reed. Reed is close to the first down, depending on the spot of the football. It will be spotted across the 30, and I think enough for the first down.
Oh, boy, I want to get another look at this one. That was awful close. Reed, being a wily receiver for Kelly, just got over the 30-yard line to make the first down. Maybe you'll see the 30-yard line. Good pass protection back there.
Thurman Thomas quickly. Gets a gain of 4 before Kenny Davidson wraps him up.
Davidson made the stop. Gain of 4, 2nd and 5.
Here's the no huddle. Back into action.
Not giving that defensive Pittsburgh a chance to rest at all.
Kelly pumps once and goes long. Intended for Lofton and way over his head. There's James Lofton. They were laughing. They said during the preseason, when things weren't quite as serious as they are here in the regular season, Kelly, who has full command of that no-huddle offense, would call a play that would send Lofton about that far down the field. He'd come back to the huddle, and Kelly would send him to the other side and send him deep again. And Lofton said you could hear Kelly chuckling as he knew just what he was doing, running the 35-year-old Lofton all over the field. Kelly, under pressure, gets away, still loose, and finally unloads it and completes it to Metzelar. It'll go back to the line of scrimmage, but it was a great effort by the gimpy Jim Kelly to get away from 3 Steelers to complete the pass.
Well, you said it, gimpy Jim Kelly. He's got a bad ankle, but he moved around enough to buy time on that play. We'll be back after these messages, folks.
I'm Merrill Hodge of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and today Pittsburgh and our nation are celebrating. A salute to our armed forces for winning a war and in winning something much more. Today we march side by side in celebrations, not only to our victory in war, but in the courage, caring, and commitment that shows we're a nation that cares. It began on January 15th, 1991. Hundreds of thousands of U.S. servicemen and women were fighting a war in the Persian Gulf. At that moment of crisis, a second mobilization took place here at home. United Way established the Desert Storm Operations Center. While the USO and the American Red Cross provided services to our troops, other United Way agencies focused on providing services to military families across the nation. With your continued support, United Way assures that this voluntary network will respond quickly and effectively. We're only there because you give and you care. When people need help, we're there. The United Way, it brings out the best in all of us.
This message furnished by the National Football League.
Just had the 2-minute warning in Buffalo. Jim Kelly and company unable to complete this pass for a first down. They did get it complete, but what about this dodging the rushers?
Oh, I think that's brilliant footwork by Kelly, who has a bad left ankle. He's finally corralled by Kenny Davidson, but it was smart movement. Number 88 right in the middle of the screen between the hash marks, folks, is going to come back to kind of bail out Jim Kelly and at least save some yardage.
Looked like Kelly was leading a dance there. He'd go one way, and Metzelaars would follow. He'd go the other way, and Metzelaars would follow.
Steelers did a good job on that big third down play. Now they're going to get a punt here, and the Steelers will have a chance to maybe get another score on the board before halftime.
Now, Rod Woodson normally returns punts. In fact, leads the AFC in punt returns, but again, winded by that no-huddle offense, so Jeff Graham is deep to return the punt for the Steelers. Graham is a rookie out of Ohio State, second-round draft choice, a wide receiver with a 6th drafted in this year's draft. Didn't sign until August 3rd, so he missed most of training camp. Did get in the final preseason game. Marv Levy and Chuck Noll may be seeing the complexion of the game change here. And the punt sent on its way by Moore, his first one of the day. And a fair catch taken. There is a late flag down on the field after a 32-yard punt.
We have running into the kicker.
Well, I tell you, he did run into the kicker. Tom Dooley, the referee, took his time dropping the flag. There's no reason for him to be in a hurry. Moore gets run into, but what's going to happen here, he did not call roughing, folks, so this is going to be a 5-yard penalty, and the Bills will be forced to punt again. I don't know.
Running into the kicker, it will be 4th down.
I don't know if the Bills will choose to punt again or not. With this field position on a 33-yard line, it looks like the Bills are going to give Moore another chance to punt it.
It'll be 4th and about a yard, maybe a yard and a half. And with 1:51 left and the Bills leading 24-10, they will punt again. The punter is Chris Moore in his 2nd year out of Alabama. His first NFL punt a week ago only covered 17 yards. He played for Montreal in the World League of American Football. Fair catch, signaled for, but not taken. And it'll roll dead, covered by the Buffalo Bills at about the 26-yard line of Pittsburgh. Well, here are the stories on NFL Live today. Colts owner Bob Irsay nearly fired Ron Meyer after that loss to New England. And his son, Jim Irsay, they say, saved Meyer's job. The 49ers will make Joe Montana their quarterback as soon as his elbow heals. And the Raiders still expect Bo Jackson to come back and play football for them after his stint with the White Sox is over. And Bob Costas will interview Bobby Beathard of the San Diego Chargers at halftime. That's all coming up NFL Live at intermission. First down for the Pittsburgh Steelers at their own 27. Brister's pass dropped by Eric Green. Well, it's an incomplete pass. Ruled incomplete. Leonard Smith covered the football, but it was ruled incomplete.
Well, you're hearing some boos, and Coach Levy certainly is upset about that. It appeared that Eric Green had control of the ball and took a step, but both feet must hit the ground. Let's take a look, folks. You decide. Does Eric Green actually have the ball? Cornelius Bennett, 87, delivers a nice lick. Well, he didn't have possession of the ball from the looks of that. It appears to have been a good call by the officials.
tough to tell if he had control of it or not. He had his back to the camera, and I think they're going to review the play.
The officials on the field have ruled incomplete pass, being reviewed by instant replay.
Marv Levy wants a reversal. If so, he'd have the football with 1:32 left.
Well, take another angle. What the instant replay folks have to decide is conclusively, does Green have control of that ball when both feet hit the ground? And it has to be conclusive to overrule the call on the field.
I think the call was correct.
After further review, the play will stand as called. Second down.
So the fans boo, but the call was correct.
Hey, these fans, they have a 2-touchdown lead. Lighten up a little bit up here, huh? Here you see it again. Both feet have to be on the ground and have possession of the ball. I think that was an excellent call by the officials.
Second down for the Steelers. Brister hits lips. Knocked out of bounds at the 35-yard line by Nate Odoms. Stops the clock at 1:27, just about 3 yards short of the first down.
Well, that's a big play for Louis Lips and the Steelers because it puts the Steelers in a third down and 2 or 3 situation, which can be a running down. So the Bills have to play both run and pass this time, even though the Bills certainly would favor the pass because they don't want to give up the fast score to the Steelers.
Steelers with a full complement of timeouts remaining. Hicks has replaced Odoms in the Buffalo secondary. Across the middle, the ball tipped and incomplete. Leon Seals, 6'5" and 275, got a big paw up there to deflect Brister's pass, and the Steelers will have to punt.
You see, you play pass defense a lot of ways, folks. You get pressure with your defensive lineman back there. You get good coverage from your defenders, and then once in a while, a defensive lineman will get that big hand up there and deflect the pass, as just happened to Brister.
Brzezinski to Edwards. Good punt. Edwards has to backpedal, makes the catch, and then shakes one tackler and tries to reverse his field to no avail. Swamped by the Steelers, with Ernie Mills down fastest of all after a 42 yards Krasinski punt. 1:13 left, and we remind you, Notre Dame football coming your way September 21st as the Irish, winners over Indiana on NBC yesterday, will host Michigan State. The Spartans and the Irish, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, September 21st, here on NBC.
I tell you, Tom, with 1:13 left, I look for Buffalo just to take their time and try and run the clock down a little bit. I think the edge, and certainly folks have to agree, the first half has belonged to Buffalo, and they would like to take that momentum in at halftime. Don't do anything now offensively that's going to change that momentum.
4 wide receivers on the field for the Bills, though, and Kelly with a short, safe pass, complete to Beebe, who tries to turn it into a long gain with a good run, and the defense collapses on him. Short of the first down as the clock approaches 1 minute.
A little risky putting that ball in the air. Those defensive backs, the Steelers, are trying to get to the ball or else jar it loose from the receiver.
No huddle exclusively in the first half for the Bills, and was almost intercepted. McKellar somehow makes the catch after Carnell Lake had it in his hands and was heading for the end zone.
Boy, I'm going to tell you, folks, Carnell Lake, well, we don't see it on that side of the replay. Right there in the bottom of it, nearly had that interception. That's why I don't like this offense at this stage of the game.
Kelly again to pass, and again over the middle, this time to Reed. Reed spun down in Pittsburgh territory at the 48-yard line by Rod Woodson. Bills with 2 timeouts remaining, 24 seconds on the clock, and the Bills will call a timeout, so they have 1 left now.
When you have the kind of confidence in your offense that Jim Kelly has, he doesn't feel like he's taking any risks with this passing game this late in the half, but I promise you it should be Pittsburgh ball because Lake, the safety, the strong safety of Pittsburgh, was right in line with Kelly's completion, and the Bills got lucky. I promise you, they got lucky.
Stay with us at halftime. Costas and Company with all the scores and highlights and an interview with Bobby Beathard. Gail Gilbert and Frank Reich joining the huddle there with Jim Kelly. And Reich is the man that will occasionally prompt Kelly on the no-huddle offense. He sometimes looks to the sideline. He has a core list of plays, Kelly does, and sometimes he'll look to the sideline for help, and it is Frank Reich, the backup quarterback, who's developed quite a reputation himself for coming in to save games, that sometimes will prompt Kelly with a play.
And he has a personality for a backup, too. Even though he could start for many teams in the NFL, he played behind Boomer Esiason at Maryland, and Reich's behind Kelly now. But every time they call on Reich, he comes through.
Jim Kelly looks one way and then is sacked. The ball's loose. Loose football, and they'll mark it down. Oh, they'll say Kelly was down, no fumble.
Oh, boy, oh, boy.
Man.
You tell him, Joe Green. You tell him. I think it was a bad call, too, buddy. Oh, my goodness gracious. Let's take a look, folks. Was Kelly's arm coming forward when he lost control of that ball? It'll come forward once before that right here, but now is it coming forward? No way that ball was coming forward. That should be a fumble. If anything, that should have been touchdown, Pittsburgh. I think that's a lousy call. It's a shame. It's a shame that a call like that is going to take Pittsburgh in at halftime less a touchdown than they would have had.
But they ruled him in the grasp. The ball marked way back there where Kelly was sacked, and I guess they ruled him in the grasp and control instead of a fumble. They say he was down before the fumble occurred. Boy, I tell you what, Chuck Knoll, you got a bad call there.
The official ruled grasp and control on the field, and the whistle was blown. It's being reviewed by instant replay.
Well, the big thing is the whistle was blown. Now, these guys decided on the field what it is. The new rule this year, folks, is grasp and control and then danger by another defensive lineman. Where's the other defensive lineman? I don't see any other defensive lineman there. That's a bad call. Chuck Knoll's team just lost the touchdown they should have had.
There wasn't a bill anywhere close. It was free ticket to the end zone for the Steelers, and instead Marv Levy's club retaining possession as the play is being reviewed. But if the whistle blew, what can they do?
That's the thing. The whistle blew. I don't know how they can change it now. Again, the grasp and control is one where the quarterback's in control of grasp of one player and being threatened by another defensive player, and Kelly wasn't in a threatened position by another defensive player there.
And the first half will end on that note. A bad break for the Steelers, who could have seen the Buffalo lead cut to 7, but the call goes against them, and Buffalo will go to the locker room with a 24-10 advantage. Jim Kelly in the no-huddle offense really coming through in that first half. And it's 24-10, the Buffalo Bills leading the Pittsburgh Steelers at halftime. Whoa, but for that call.
She's sexy. Wow. And she's James Garner's newest secretary.
Call Frank, see if he got his liquor license.
Like Frank really needs a license to drink.
Problem is, she can't type.
2 arrests for prostitution make for a hell of an unusual resume. You want a back rub or something, Doyle?
James Garner's a man of the people, premiering next Sunday on NBC.
If it's out there, it's in here. The 9X Yellow Pages. Why would anyone need another?
Why does Marine Midland work so well for so many? You can talk to us. Talk savings with Lynn Welch. Her interest has helped hundreds earn more interest. Education, see Linda Gilbert. She's put 1,300 kids through college, including 2 of her own. It's not just billions in assets or hundreds of branches that make us what we are. Marine people do it so well because they do it so much. So let's work it out together. See Bill Ryan. He spent the last 5 years thinking retirement for folks like these.
Watch Goal to Go, the postgame show and Sports Extra today only on Channel 2.
Bob Costas back along with Will McDonough and O.J. Simpson. Let's go right to the scoreboard. We'll hear from these 2 guys in a moment. In the game many of you are watching, Buffalo with the 24-10 halftime lead over the Steelers at Rich Stadium, looking to up their record to 2-0. They'll have to do it without Bruce Smith. Not sure when he'll be back. The knee injury sustained early in the preseason. Watching from the press box, watching as Jim Kelly gets hot in the first half. He hit for 3 touchdown passes. This one goes 53 to James Lofton over the defense of Rod Woodson. Then he would throw 2 more to Don Beebe, one of 34 yards, one of 14 yards. This is the longer of the 2, splitting 2 defenders for the TD. In between, Scott Norwood hit a 50-yard field goal. Here's the high point for the Steelers. It'll be Barry Foster, the second-year man, going around the left side, breaking tackles here, cutting back. It covers 56 yards for a touchdown that at least brings the Steelers a little bit closer within 2 TDs at 24-10 at the half. Juice?
Well, you know, we got the #1 rated offense in football in the Bills, and, of course, the top-rated defense last year in Pittsburgh. I'm surprised at the ease that the Bills are moving the ball against them. But this could be a blessing in disguise for Pittsburgh, because if they're going to make it to the playoffs and eventually, hopefully, to the Super Bowl, they got to open up that offense. And with the score being what it is, they're going to get a lot of practice today.
All right, the Rams and the Giants have now gone to the third quarter at the Meadowlands. The Giants, as you know, won on Monday night at home against San Francisco in an exciting game. The Rams were nothing short of atrocious at home in their opener against Phoenix, but the Rams have the 10-6 lead here early in the third quarter. Speaking of that juggernaut known as the Phoenix Cardinals, not quite to halftime at Veterans Stadium.
Wait a second.
What?
Juice, you know what bothers me about this whole thing, right? You know he knows nothing about why he picked Phoenix.
His underdog pick of the week.
This week, no logic. You and I are great football minds. We have an idea why we do what we do.
It was an attempt at humor. He was trying to be funny. He's been dogging the Cardinals for 2 years now, so he thought he was being funny the first week. He got lucky, and now he's pretending that he figured it out himself.
Well, this ball club was 4-0 in the preseason. They go in, they ambush the Rams. Now here are the Eagles sitting at home on the Veterans Stadium turf where they lost to Phoenix last year. So they should have been well advised when the Cardinals came marching in. Here's Phoenix in front, 16-7. They're almost to halftime. It was 16-0 before Thomas Sanders scored from 3 yards out to close it up a bit for the Eagles. Unofficial numbers on Jim McMahon in place of Randall Cunningham, 5 for 12, 53 yards. Tom Tupa has a touchdown pass of 51 yards to Johnny Johnson for Phoenix. Chicago and Tampa in the NFC Central. This one 14-13 in favor of the Bears at halftime. Neil Anderson has both of their scores on a 7-yard pass from Jim Harbaugh and a 12-yard touchdown run. Indy and Miami, the game is tied at 3 apiece. They're playing at Joe Robbie. Both clubs come in with records of 0-1. Willie?
Big thing in that game is the Colts and Ron Meyer are very lucky. It's not about 20-0 because they pushed the Colts all over the field in the first half, and they come out of it 3-3.
Big item for Don Shula, playing without Sammy Smith, who was so sensational for them last year. Mark Higgs, journeyman running back, 4th-year guy out of Kentucky, got 146 yards last week in a loss against Buffalo. He's got 59 yards in the first half today.
Well, that shows you that Miami has a good offensive line, because Higgs is certainly not a great running back. He's been with 4 different teams, and yet Miami can move the ball.
All right, back to the scoreboard. New Orleans has never opened a season in franchise history at 2-0. They might be on their way this year. 17-0 in favor of Kansas City at the half at Arrowhead. Bobby Hebert has a couple of TD passes for the Saints. Atlanta has a lead at home, 10-7 halftime against the Vikings. Cleveland and New England on a 7-yard touchdown pass from Kosar to Leroy Horde in a game some of you are watching. The Browns with the lead 7-0 over the Pats at the half in Foxborough. Detroit has a 10-7 lead at the Silverdome. This one also halftime against the Packers. Both teams are 0-1. Barry Sanders back after the rib injury for the Lions. They've just now gone to the third quarter, by the way, in that game. Sanders had a 4-yard touchdown run in the first quarter. That's the big play for the Lions. They lead by a field goal, and we continue here at halftime. Over here? Hi, how are you? Right after this.
Monday, it's an NBC special preview when the Fresh Prince shakes up the new season with Then you've heard about them all summer. Now watch Mark and Brian do whatever it takes to sing and dance with the Temptations. Mark and Brian after an all-new Fresh Prince previewing Monday on NBC.
What can happen when you have the strength of a $30 billion financial group behind your local North Star Bank? That's up to you.
Join the Channel 2 News team for live primary election coverage Thursday on Channel 2.
Welcome back to our NFL Live studios in New York. Throughout the year, one segment of the halftime report will feature an interview with a newsmaker from around the NFL. Now, our doubleheader game that most of you will see at 4 o'clock Eastern time today has the Chargers at Candlestick against the 49ers. This has been a busy couple of weeks for Chargers head coach Dan Henning and GM Bobby Beathard. There was the trade of unhappy Pro Bowl lineman Lee Williams to Houston. Marion Butts, second leading rusher in the AFC last year, was a holdout for almost all of the preseason. Last year's starting quarterback, Billy Joe Tolliver, lost his job to untested John Freeze and then was subsequently traded to Atlanta. Then this past Tuesday, Henning fired his offensive coordinator, Ted Tollner, and assumed those responsibilities for himself. Joining us now from San Francisco is former NBC insider, now GM of the Chargers, Bobby Beathard. Bobby, this club has been 6-10, 3 consecutive years. Dan Henning has made some moves which could be called controversial. Is he on thin ice himself?
Well, I think Dan knows his position, and that's been written about several times here in San Diego. But I think Dan, he's a bright guy. He knows what it's like to be an NFL coach and not win. So I think he's a heck of a coach. We're trying to give him all the support we can right now. And with all the distractions, or would seem like distractions, I think Dan's held the squad's attention quite well, and probably had our best week coming into this 49er game.
Is it fair to say, though, that this is a make-or-break year for him, that another 6-10 or a 7-9 would put him in jeopardy?
I think it's more how we play. If we don't play hard, and if we play well and lose close games, and looks like we've made progress, I think then after the season we'll evaluate the whole situation and see then. I think it's too early to say.
The Cowboys supposedly had made an overture to Ted Tollner to be their offensive coordinator, so his duties were upgraded before this year. Then after the first game, Dan has a change of heart. Tollner is fired. Were you uneasy with the way that situation came down, even though you supported Henning's right to make the move?
Well, I think it was uneasy for everybody around here. I went to school with Ted, and this should not be a black mark on Ted Tollner's coaching. He's a terrific coach, a dedicated coach, and I think he has a bright future in this league. What happened, I kind of compared it with, would you ever see Joe Gibbs giving up the offense to one of his assistant coaches? That just wouldn't happen because Joe feels comfortable in there with him. He's a hands-on coach. Well, Dan's very much like that. And he kind of divorced himself from the offense and was kind of an overseer. And I don't think it sat right with Dan. I don't think he felt comfortable. And there was a little bit of philosophical difference between Ted and Dan. It wasn't the matter of one's a good coach and one isn't.
Obviously, Billy Joe Tolliver was not your guy. You didn't draft him. John Freeze was a draft choice of yours. You preferred, as a talent evaluator, Freeze over Tolliver. So Tolliver is demoted and then dealt. But the question is, after getting a 4th-round pick from Atlanta that could be upgraded depending upon how he plays to a 3rd, do you second-guess yourself for maybe making the deal too quickly? Because in week 1, Cunningham goes down, Craig goes down, and guys like Pat Ryan and Rusty Hilger get signed. If you'd held Tolliver back a while, it seems like his value would have jumped.
Well, it was the feeling of the staff that if this happened, if John Freeze did win the quarterback battle, then Billy would not be the type of guy to stay around in a backup role. And I don't mean that a knock against Billy. He's a very competitive kid, a tough kid. But that was a decision made before that even happened. And actually, it's a 5th-round choice that could be a 4th. They don't have a 5th right now, so it's a 4th. But when they get their 5th, we'll get a 5th for him. It was, we put ourselves in a precarious position. John not having much experience, Bob Galliano, a veteran, behind him. So we're training Jeff Graham on the developmental. So we hope in time that we are injury-free and come back with 3 quarterbacks that can win games for us. But right now, we're in a pretty tough position.
Bobby, thanks a lot. Good to talk with you again. It's a tough road, starting with San Francisco, then 5 of your first 7 on the road. It won't be easy. Bobby Beathard, the GM of the San Diego Chargers. And we'll continue here at halftime right after this.
Ready to start the second half in Buffalo with the Bills leading the Pittsburgh Steelers 24-10. Welcome back to Rich Stadium as we get ready for the 3rd quarter to begin. And what a way to end the first half on a super controversial play that really could affect the outcome of this game.
Oh, it could. It certainly affects the momentum at halftime. A team goes in at halftime with this kind of momentum. Pittsburgh could have had. They come out the second half and play better. Now, the new rule states that he's not under control or grasp unless he's threatened by another player. I don't see another Pittsburgh Steeler threatening Jim Kelly. The ball's knocked free. Referee Tom Dooley blew an early whistle. Now, I don't know if that's out of habit in the past when the rules simply stated he had to be in the grasp of one player, whether that was Dooley's habit of blowing a quick whistle. It was a shame for the Pittsburgh team to have to go in at halftime and not have a touchdown that they should have.
It would have been an easy touchdown for the Pittsburgh defense in that case. But speaking of the Pittsburgh defense, they have to find a way to slow down this potent no-huddle offense of Jim Kelly.
Yes, they haven't done it so far. Certainly, they've been dropping back into their lanes on pass coverage and giving up the underneath stuff, trying to jar the ball loose from the receivers. They haven't done it. And then we've seen in the secondary, David Johnson was beaten a couple of times deep, and he didn't get help from his inside safeties. Everett, for example, didn't get over to break up a pass. Woodson's been beaten deep, which is surprising. So the Steelers are just getting outplayed. The no-huddle does have an effect. It's wearing the Steelers down, and yet there's some great plays by the Bills offense.
Jim Kelly calling his own plays, called Don Beebe's number twice for touchdowns in that first half as Beebe made, this is the second reception for a TD.
Sure, he breaks inside of Johnson. Johnson has no help from Thomas Everett right there, who comes into the play late. There seems to be a lack of coordination back there in the Pittsburgh secondary on these touchdowns.
And the Pittsburgh offense, Joe, seemed to pick it up a little bit toward the end of the half. Do you think so?
They did, but they still have not been giving Bubby Brister the kind of time he needs to throw. This 5 linebacker alignment that's being utilized by the Bills coordinator Corey has fooled the Steelers. Now they're trying to block Cornelius Bennett, one of the most elusive linebackers in the game, with offensive linemen that can't quite get in the middle of Bennett to contain him. So it's been a brilliant move by Walt Corey.
All right, let's take a look at the halftime stats now. As you see that the Buffalo Bills with an edge, a big one in first downs, rushing yardage in favor of the Steelers, the passing yardage totally in favor of the Buffalo Bills, as are the total yards. And as you pointed out earlier, Joe, Steelers with a time of possession edge, but on the scoreboard behind 24-10 as we start the third quarter. Jim Kelly versus Bubby Brister. How do they stack up? Kelly's having a big day. 240 first half yards to only 76 for Brister. Kelly already with 3 touchdown passes, 1 to James Lofton and 2 to Don Beebe.
Well, you know, simply put, Kelly is an excellent quarterback at this point, and Bubby Brister is still growing. Bubby Brister would like to get to that level, and he has enough confidence to get there, but Bubby Brister needs help from his guys up front. He needs some blocking from that offensive line to open the running lane and to give Bubby a little more time back there passing.
And the bad news is the Bills will get the ball to open the second half. Edwards and Fuller are deep. Off the shoulder pad of Edwards, and he'll down it in the end zone.
His kickoff is down in the end zone. It'll be 1st and 10 Buffalo at the 20.
So Jim Kelly, we pointed out earlier, he had 111 tickets for this game from East Brady, Pennsylvania, where he went to high school, and a legend in western Pennsylvania, as so many of you, Joe, are. Joe from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, the cradle of quarterbacks, western Pennsylvania.
Oh, boy, that's the truth. You know, Montana, Marino, Unitas, Blanda. Hey, there's some good Frank Reich.
Kelly in the shotgun. First play of the third quarter. Pass complete to Beebe. Don Beebe, a gain of about 11. Rod Woodson on the coverage makes the tackle. Don Beebe's having a big afternoon. 3rd year out of Chadron State of Nebraska. He bounced around a little bit. He went to Aurora College to Western Illinois. But he had 78 receptions and 1,300 yards as a senior at Chadron State and drafted in the 3rd round for the Bills. Thurman Thomas, his first carry of the second half, could be a long one. Thomas finally forced out of bounds by Carnell Lake after he takes it all the way into Steeler territory to the 38-yard line.
All right, Don Beebe scored 2 touchdowns. Thurman Thomas gets a key block from Don Beebe. Thomas will break outside, and number 82, Beebe's going to tie up Rod Woodson right there on your left, and that gives Thurman Thomas the corner to get around and make the big gain before Cornell Lake can get over there to make the play.
29 yards on that gain. Thomas has carried 10 times for 66 yards. Kelly, plenty of time. Safety valve, dumps it off to Davis. Kenneth Davis hit hard and dropped by Greg Lloyd.
Who was that? A hit on Davis. Davis is used to that, though. As you mentioned earlier, Tom, he led Green Bay in rushing 2 years. Kelly's trying to get over here to his right, but Brian Hinkle will have none of it. He took away the receiver, and then, boom, Greg Lloyd lowers the boom.
And Eddie Fuller has come in at a running back now in his first year out of LSU. Kelly's pass on target, complete to the 30-yard line. Lofton with a diving catch in front of Rod Woodson.
James Lofton, my goodness, he gets this ball cradled, falls down, Woodson makes the play. Lofton's, folks, is third all-time leading receiver in the history of the game, and he's closing in on Larger, Tom. If he can put together this season and maybe part of next, he might be your all-time leading yardage receiver.
3rd and 1, pass complete to McKellar, and McKellar has a Buffalo first down inside the Steeler 20-yard line. Carnell Lake tripping him up. And after that last pass completion to James Lofton, he has moved into 5th place all-time in the NFL receptions, 650 catches, and perhaps dead aim on Steve Largent.
Yeah, well, he's always 3rd in the yardage, and so he's got a chance at Largent's yardage.
Kenneth Davis dances his way inside the 10. This is business as usual today for the Buffalo offense. They take up where they left off, and still Pittsburgh has not been able to solve it. Huge chunks of yardage against Chuck Noll's team here to start the 3rd quarter. 2nd and 1. Davis. To the 5-yard line or close to it. Should be enough for a first down. Osofsky on the tackle.
Well, it's business as usual for Buffalo's no-huddle offense, and Pittsburgh is really confused over there defensively. They get in the right position, it seems, but they don't make the tackles for Coach Noll. Sometimes they're completely out of position. Buffalo really has this defense of the Steelers reeling.
1st and goal from the 6. Kelly will throw for it. Flag down. The pass incomplete, intended for Beebe.
There's a flag on the play.
Holding call against Buffalo. Tom Dooley will step it off.
Holding, 51 offense, first down.
Jim Richer, the veteran, in his 12th year out of North Carolina State. 12 consecutive years with Buffalo, which ties a team record. Playing in his 169th game.
He's played more games than any other Bill out there. Steady offensive line. Great technique.
It'll be 1st and goal now from the 16-yard line. Kelly, 2 wides to the left, 1 to the right. Hands to Thomas. Thomas manages to spin away for a yard to the 15. Aaron Jones, number 91, the first-round draft choice of 1988 for the Steelers, gets credit for the tackle. Got the start today in place of Keith Willis, did Jones. His 17th start in 4 years with the Steelers. Kelly telling Thomas what he wants him to do, and now Thomas with the direction from McKellar as he lines up in the slot. Jim Kelly, plenty of time, steps up. Lake defending on the play, knocked it away from Andre Reed. And it'll be 3rd and goal coming up.
Kelly's getting a lot of time back there in the pocket from Wolford and the rest of his offensive linemen. Kelly's able to look right, left, back to center. The Steelers haven't been able to put any kind of consistent pressure on Kelly while he's back in that pocket.
A couple of the defensive linemen of the Steelers, too, with their hands on their knees, gasping for air against this no-huddle attack. 3rd and goal from the 15. Buffalo trying to add to a 24-10 lead. Kelly's pass, complete, Reed for the touchdown. Everybody in on the act today. First touchdown catch for Andre Reed after Beebe had
We got
two.
an unsportsmanlike conduct demonstration foul. Number 84, offense. Northern touchdown, kickoff.
So they'll penalize him, but at this point it doesn't make a whole lot of difference.
Well, they'll penalize him on the kickoff, move him back 5 yards.
Lofton with a touchdown catch, Beebe with 2, and Reed with 1. 4 touchdown passes for Jim Kelly. Norwood's extra point is good. Buffalo scores on its first possession of the second half to go up on Pittsburgh 31-10.
Introducing a car so intelligently engineered, its elegance and grace can be measured along these lines or graded on a curve. The 1992 Oldsmobile 88 Royale, beautifully redefined and nimble enough to prove that a straight line isn't always the best way to get from point A to point B. Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
When you've got a tough case of athlete's foot, the itching, the cracking, the burning, you want a medicine that acts tough. Tough-Actin Tenactin. Clinically proven Tenactin cures even the tough cases of athlete's foot fungus. Get Tough-Actin Tenactin.
The temperature never drops below Xerex. That's very important to remember, especially at a time like this, when it's very deserted and very cold. Ah, you did remember Xerex Antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerex.
NBC Premier Week starts next Sunday with 2 of TV's greatest. He's a con man's con man who just scammed his way into public office.
When you have City Councilman Jim Doyle on your side, you definitely have someone on your side.
James Garner's a man of the people, and Robert Guillaume's a hard-boiled cop with a soft-boiled partner.
You have very, very kind eyes. Anybody ever tell you that? Nobody with that much facial hair.
Pacific Station after Man of the People premieres next Sunday starting at 8/7 Central on NBC.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering. By Right Guard Sports Stick, anything less would be uncivilized. By Xerex Antifreeze Coolant, the temperature never drops below Xerex. And by Hertz, we never forget who made us #1. We're Hertz, we're America's wheels.
Andre Reed made a great catch for that last Buffalo touchdown. I told you the party would start early. They think it's snowing already.
They want to go to the Super Bowl in Minnesota, huh?
Norwood's kick. It's Dwight Stone deep for Pittsburgh, taking it at the 21. Stone with that great speed to the outside and close to the 45-yard line. Good return for Dwight Stone. Scott Norwood, the kicker, finally made the tackle.
All right here's Andre Reed. He's going to go down and break in. Right here's the man, Carnell Lake, who has coverage on him, and he allows Reed to get inside. Then Kelly delivers just a perfect pass over Lake's head, over everyone's head except Andre Reed. Here's a better angle. On the left side of your screen, 37, Carnell Lake gets beat to the inside, you see, and then he takes a bad angle, and the ball is right on target.
Reed has caught 8 passes for 109 yards, and Jim Kelly has hit 23 of 30, 290 yards and 4 touchdowns. Quite a combination. Pittsburgh tries to answer. Bubby Brister rolling to his right, throws back left, and has his tight end Green open for a Pittsburgh first down inside the 35-yard line. Marcus Patton up to make the stop. Let's check out our Hertz 10-minute ticker now.
15, first down Pittsburgh.
Phoenix continued to lead Philadelphia. Look at the Rams, big losers in their first week, beating the Giants 13-6.
I think the Giants are having a letdown from that San Francisco game.
Miami finally generating some points against an Indianapolis team that was beaten by New England in week 1. Barry Sanders and company up 10 on the Packers.
You know, Miami, I wouldn't be surprised, had quite a letdown after that game they had for Buffalo here last week.
No letdown for the Bills. They're up 31-10. Again, Brister has the ball and has a man wide open. The pass low, and Malarkey can't come up with it. Oh, Malarkey was wide open. All Brister had to do was deliver it, and it was low. Malarkey tried to go down and get it, couldn't come up with it.
I like Brister's selection of receivers. Malarkey comes off the line and fights through. He's going to be wide open, but Brister throws it behind him and a little low, and Malarkey can't quite handle the thing. Brister has made some good decisions on where to throw the ball, though. Misfired the last play to an open receiver.
Can't afford to miss the guys that are open, trailing 31-10.
You got that right.
2nd and 10 from the 34 of Buffalo. Handoff. Foster turns the corner, and he's to the 15 of the Buffalo Bills. Bumped out of bounds by Leonard Smith and Mark Kelso, the safeties. But Woodson has consistently been able to get outside on Buffalo. That one went for 19.
The right side of the screen, they're going to wall off all of the Buffalo Bills. Shane Conlon gets turned inside, and then there is no one out on the corner. Leonard Smith tries to get over there, but Kelso gets there first. The Steelers' offensive scheme is a good one. They're opening big holes for Barry Foster from time to time, and Brister's having some open receivers, but they just can't put it together completely.
Great day for Foster already, 110 yards. Stone in motion. Foster, the only setback, gets the handoff. And a good hold. Barry Foster to the 3.
Leonard Smith for the tackle.
Again, Leonard Smith and Mark Kelso, the safeties, forced to make a tackle on Barry Foster as a couple of players square off, Dwight Stone and Nate Odom.
Another huge hole left side of the line for Barry Foster to burn through, and when he gets through there, he's going to punish some defensive backs. Left side of the line, you'll see a huge hole open up where Foster can run through, and then it's the DBs trying to bring down a tough running back. Shane Conlon got part of his legs that time to slow down Foster.
Barry Foster says he's a fishing nut. He loves to go fishing in the Dallas area, his hometown, and I pity the fish if he pounds them the way he does these defensive linemen. Did Merrill Hodge get across? The Steelers think he did. No signal from the officials.
Yeah, that's the one that counts.
They'll mark it short of the goal line, half a yard.
Let's take a look, folks. Judge for yourself to see if he broke that plane. The ball just has to break the plane of the goal line as Hodge fights through there. No, heck.
He bounced across.
Well, you got to give him credit for trying.
Well, Noel's team trying to mount an offense here after seeing the Bills score on their first possession. 2nd down, 1. Warren Williams in the backfield with Hodge. Williams, touchdown.
Warren Williams carried for the Pittsburgh touchdown.
Oh, did Pittsburgh need that? They needed that, Tom. They didn't use a lot of time off the clock. There's still a whole half of this third quarter left. If they can create some kind of defensive plays, Warren Williams takes it outside. Watch this wall-off blocking here. Malarkey gets excellent position on the strong safety. And there's just nobody out there. Just fine blocking by the Steelers. A well-executed offense of Joe Walton's at this point.
Carlton Hasselrick pulling and getting a block. And the extra point by Anderson is good. Buffalo Bills score on their first possession. Pittsburgh answers with a score of its own, and it's 31-16. 17 now.
Correction, Buffalo.
In trying to make an artistic statement, one should be careful not to let one's personal aroma do the talking. In order not to offend the critics, I recommend Right Guard Sports Stick. It provides maximum protection and the freshest scents, a sublime palette of odoriferous emanations. After all, a true artiste should be remembered for his inspiration, not his perspiration. Right Guard Sports Stick. Anything less would be uncivilized.
It's a car born of intelligent engineering. It's 100,000 ideas fused into one. It's responsive, innovative, refined. It's a driver's side airbag and anti-lock brakes. Introducing the all-new 88 Royale LS. Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
Would you just look at what we get from America's soil and water? Get your hands on protecting our future. We owe it to our children.
Thank you, Grandpa.
Call us.
the 49ers. The Chargers. A Wild West showdown. Next.
8:08 left in the third, 31-17 now after Pittsburgh scores. Cornelius Bennett and company saw Pittsburgh ramble 54 yards in 6 plays, covered only 255. Anderson's kick. And will go out of bounds. Another shoving match. Garner, surrounded by a lot of white jerseys, thinks the better of it.
But at 6'4", 238, he's not scared.
Stay with us now. This is only the first of 2 you'll see today on NBC. Most of you will see the Chargers against the 49ers. Others will see the Broncos and Raiders or the Jets Seahawks. Doubleheader football action coming up next here on NBC. So the Buffalo Bills take over at the 35-yard line, and the no-huddle offense, Jim Kelly at the controls, has been unstoppable. No other way to describe it. 4 touchdown passes for Kelly today. Buffalo 370 yards of offense. They had 582 last week against Miami. Herman Thomas, only a couple there.
Herman Thomas carried. There's Hardy
Nickel and Nickerson combining on the stop.
Gain of 2, it'll be 2nd and 8.
You're a Pittsburgh Steeler defender. What do you say to yourself out there? You try to get yourself psyched up to relax and just execute. You talk to your teammates and say, all right, calm down, man. Let's just execute, not give up the big gainers here.
Kelly quickly to Beebe for a first down.
Pass complete to Don Beebe.
Beebe cutting in front of David Johnson once again, has it for another first.
Yeah, well, this number 82, Don Beebe, has breezed by the defensive backs a couple of times, and so David Johnson's given Beebe a little bit more cushion there. He's laying off of him just a bit deeper.
Johnson, in his 3rd year out of Kentucky, 7th-round draft choice, has had a long afternoon. And another completed pass for Jim Kelly as he goes to Beebe. Shorter gain this time as Johnson comes up in a hurry to make the stop after Beebe had the ball. Beebe limping a little bit as he heads to the sideline. Al Edwards will be his replacement. Edwards, in his 2nd year out of Northwestern Louisiana, an 11th-round draft choice last year. Thomas to midfield. Gain of 1.
Does that mean he has the Bills on his mind, or what is that? I'm not sure I ever had Jets etched in my head, and I don't know what you're thinking about, but you got to have a lot of love for your team, huh?
I think you had it etched on those knees, didn't you, once or twice? Intercepted. Kelly's pass intercepted by Brian Hinkle. Hinkle still on his feet somehow. Touchdown.
Brian Hinkle makes the big play. That could have been the 3rd interception by the linebackers, but it was the 1st. They'll take it. Kelly's throwing that ball to the Steelers a couple of times previous, and the Steelers dropped them, but Hinkle, with some nifty running down the sideline, escorted by his defensive troops, brings the Steelers within striking distance. 1 touchdown.
And the extra point by Anderson is good. Brian Hinkle with his 14th career interception, number 2 all-time among active Steelers, puts Pittsburgh within 7.
Introducing a car so intelligently engineered, its elegance and grace can be measured along these lines or graded on a curve. The 1992 Oldsmobile 88 Royale, beautifully redefined and nimble enough to prove that a straight line isn't always the best way to get from point A to point B. Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
We built this business.
I hit the brakes. You know, they're anti-lock brakes.
It was close, but we stopped in time.
Build this business.
Every year they plant new trees. Dad says they make good things from trees.
After my accident,
They advanced my insurance benefits and built me a ramp and got me back on my feet.
We built this business to build your dreams. You want to rent a car, but your money's tight?
Give Hertz a call, they'll treat you right. Hertz, freedom rates.
Put Hertz behind you all the way.
Hertz, freedom rates. For as little as $19 a day.
3 miles all the way. 3 mileage all across the USA with
Hertz, freedom rates.
Now everyone can drive America's wheels. Hertz, we're America's wheels.
Steelers right back in it after Hinkle's interception.
Well, Hinkle's right here, and he's going to go with this receiver and then drop back in here. He fools Kelly. Kelly thinks Hinkle's chasing the slot receiver. You see Hinkle go. Now he drops back, and, buddy, it's a lot of big white shirts out in front of Brian Hinkle right here. Look at this nifty bit of running all the way down the sideline for a touchdown. Great defensive play by the Steelers.
Made a cut back like a scat back, didn't he there? Went all the way for the touchdown. Edwards takes the kick right in the corner of the goal line. Al Edwards got away from one man, then is taken down short of the 20, though. We got a new game here in Buffalo. Bob, what do you have going?
Well, Tom, Miami has a 10-3 lead in the third quarter at home against Indianapolis. Here's Aaron Craver, their third-round draft choice out of Fresno State on a 7-yard scoring run. Mark Higgs, the journeyman who last week had 146 yards from Miami against Buffalo, is already over 100 yards rushing today. So they're taking up the slack left by the injury to Sammy Smith, and they lead by a touchdown over Indy. Tom?
All right, Bob, little Mark Higgs of Miami becoming a household name in the NFL now. 2 back-to-back 100-yard rushing games for Mark Higgs. Kenneth Davis got a head of steam going and left it to the 25-yard line. Parnell Lake finally got him to the turf.
Yes, but having Kenneth Davis in there tells me that Thurman Thomas is ailing a bit. And you're not going to get quite the same play out of Davis as you do Thomas.
2nd and 3. Davis again, flag down, as Davis takes it to the 35, and a Bill first down if it holds up. It'll be against Buffalo.
Well, you wonder if the momentum shifts here. Pittsburgh's defense made the big play. Now they're only 7 down.
Holding, 67 offense. 2nd down.
I have to wonder if Buffalo's not more concerned with having another turnover at this point than they are with moving the ball. There's Chet Hall, who was called for the holding, the center, the all-pro center, I might add, and there's Thomas sitting on the bench.
Holding penalty against Hull. And the ball all the way back now to the 16. Lofton to the 28-yard line. Rod Woodson wraps him up there. Another catch for James Lofton, the 35-year-old veteran who moved today into 5th place all-time in number of catches and 3rd in receiving yards. And that's the place where he can catch Steve Largent. He can't catch him for number of receptions, but perhaps in yards. Kenneth Davis stopped short of the first down.
Kenneth Davis carried.
Good defensive play by the center of that Steeler line. Donald Evans came over to put the clincher, and the 7,000 or so Steeler fans that made the 5 or 6 hour drive up to Rich Stadium see some hope for their team, which at one time appeared to be on the way out of this game. Moore's first punt only covered 33. And instead of Woodson back deep, it is Jeff Graham. Another high but short kick. Graham waves for the fair catch and takes it at the 42-yard line. Good field position for the Steelers, who scored on their last possession. They'll have the ball when we return to Buffalo, down by a touchdown.
Working to be the best they can be. Teammates, sponsored by the U.S. Army. On a frozen Sunday in 1973, Mike Montler, Reggie McKenzie, Joe DeLamalure, Dave Foley, and Donnie Green made history. While all eyes focused on O.J. Simpson, the Bills' offensive line helped reach an incredible milestone. As individuals, each man shared in the first 2,000-yard season. Together as teammates, they were the electric company. They turned on the juice and made the Bills the best they can be.
Most of my friends don't know what they're going to do after graduation, but I've already locked in guaranteed skill training in the Army. Qualify now and you can reserve even the Army's most sought-after technical training, up to 12 months in advance, through the Army's delayed entry program. Sure, being a soldier won't be easy, but then nothing worth having ever is.
Intelligent engineering is routinely put to the test at Oldsmobile. And here's the result. Of all the Cutlass Sierras ever sold in the last 10 years, we can say 96% are still on the road. Safely say, Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
NBC Premiere Week starts next Sunday with a show critics call the best new program of the season and subversive.
Enough said.
Erie, Indiana premieres next Sunday on NBC.
Welcome back to Rich Stadium. The Bills holding on to a 7-point lead over the Steelers. You know, normally you don't think of bruising linebackers as having literary pursuits, but Ray Bentley, the linebacker of the Buffalo Bills, has written a series of books, children's books. Darby the Dinosaur. This one is Shopping with Darby. $250. You'll note the price up here in Joe. I guess that's why we see Bentley running around like a brontosaurus on the field half the time. There he is, Ray Bentley, the author, trying to earn his stripes and stopping this Steeler offense. Bubby Brister will go to the air. Coming back to make the catch is Lips. And it's a Steeler first down, or just very close, perhaps inches short.
Oh, Bubby Brister put a pass out there, folks, that was big time. He looks downfield, and he comes back over to his left, and watch the heat he puts on this ball. I mean, he rifles that bad boy out there. Pretty good coverage out there by Odom, but not for that kind of pass.
Second and inches. Perhaps a free play for Brister. He's going to go long, and he's got Stone. The pass too long as the defense recovered. For a moment, Stone was open, but Kelso and Williams converged on him. Meanwhile, the pass sailed long.
But James Williams, the cornerback, took away the outside where Stone wants to go. You see, Williams forces him to the inside, and Brister thinks Williams is on the outside. He doesn't want to throw. Brister doesn't want to throw that ball in the middle where that free safety Kelso is. So give James Williams, number 31, credit for fine defensive plays, making the receiver change his route.
Third down now in inches. Malarkey, Green, and Cooper, 3 tight ends for the Steelers. Hand it to Foster, hit behind the line and dropped for a loss. Mike Lodish, the nose tackle, converted from defensive end. Second year out at UCLA with a big play, and now the Steelers must decide whether they'll go for it on 4th down. And Foster is still down.
Oh, that was a big-time hit by the UCLA nose tackle, Mike Lodish. I had a chance to visit with him before the game and asked him what he felt about this deal. He said, hey, I'm ready to play. He's right on the center now. He's going to play off DeMonte Johnson. There he is, right now. He threw DeMonte Johnson aside for Dawson and makes the play. Lodish told me he's ready. He can do it. He has a great opportunity, and he wants to be in this league a long time. He says his asset, Tom, his main asset is keeping his motor running. He said, my motor is always on.
It looked like it's still running there. Lodish, you know, in high school in Michigan, played hockey, and he looked like a goalie on that one as he wouldn't let Foster get by for the first down, and he only needed inches. And Foster, if he is hurt, will be a big loss to the Steeler offense. He's gained 121 yards on only 9 carries.
I think he's going to be all right, Tom, the way he's walking off the field. Pittsburgh's going to give their defense a chance. They're going to try and back the Bills up rather than risk losing field position here.
They would have had 4th and 2. They elect to punt from midfield. Brzezinski boots it, and Edwards has aim on it and lets it bounce into the end zone for the touchback. 50-yard punt as we check out our Hertz 10-minute ticker. The Rams continue to pound the Giants. They're up by 10. Phoenix, a 9-point lead. Chicago's taken command in Tampa. Finally, the Dolphins have gotten some offense against the Colts, who continue to struggle in both opening games. New Orleans, a surprise there that they're that far ahead in Kansas City. Minnesota has extended its lead. Cleveland blanking New England, and Detroit 6 on Green Bay. Here it's 31-24, Buffalo with the ball. Thurman Thomas has returned to the lineup. Kelly, intercepted. Woodson, Rod Woodson, down to the 8-yard line. Earlier in the game, Rod Woodson had to go to the bench because he was fatigued. That time he timed Kelly perfectly and picked it off, then returned it 21 yards inside the Buffalo 10.
Rod Woodson right here is going to backpedal and just cut underneath the receiver in the hole. Kelly does not, well, maybe he does not see him. I think it's just a fine play by Woodson breaking on the ball quickly. Oh, watch Woodson close on this thing, folks. There's that speed right now. The ball was going behind Lofton, so it is a bad pass from Jim Kelly.
First and goal, Steelers from the 8, looking to tie the game. Play action pass, Brister on a roll, being chased, unloads it, and incomplete. Intended for Green, the tight end. He was juggling it as he went out of bounds and then lost it as he hit the turf with Marvcus Patton, the linebacker, with him step for step.
Good defense initially by the Buffalo Bills. They strung this thing out. That's what screwed it up. And Brister's just off target with his throw. They would only gain 3 or 4 yards there anyway.
J.D. Williams, the man defending Green, as Patton was putting the pressure on Bubby Brister. Second and goal for the Steelers.
The referee's gone over to the Steelers sideline. I don't know what he wants to explain to Coach Knoll, but Coach Knoll wants something straightened out right now as Tom Dooley's over there explaining the situation to Joe Walton and his troop.
Chuck Knoll told us yesterday he was happy with where his team was approaching the second game of the season, beating San Diego 26-20 a week ago. Remember last year at the outset of the season with Joe Walton's new offense in, the Steelers really sputtered offensively. He was happy with where his team was and has to be happy with the way they didn't fold today when it looked like Buffalo was going to run them out of the stadium.
I think that is partially the character of Chuck Knoll and his defensive line coach Joe Green. They won't let these Steelers quit. These Steelers will keep fighting to the end.
Second and goal from the 8, 3 tight end formation. Stone, only wide receiver, he's to the right. Merrill Hodge on the handoff to the 5. Leon Seals put the clamps on Merrill Hodge. It'll bring up a third and goal from the 5-yard line. Walton sending the play in with Lewis Lips. Last week, they could only get field goals when they were inside the 20. Today, they have one of each.
You wonder why it's so tough to score from inside that 20. Simply put, the defense doesn't have that much field to defend. It's a shorter field, so they can play tighter, and they do play the offense tighter.
Key play in this game. 3 wide receivers, Callaway, Lips, and Stone. Brister from the shotgun. Williams in the backfield. And Williams gets the handoff and is blasted to the turf. Marvcus Patton came in with a rush. The 8th-round draft choice in his second year out of UCLA. Made a couple of all-rookie teams last year and earned his stripes on that one as he disrupted it with great penetration.
Patton comes hard off the ball on the right side of the screen at the bottom. You see him blitzing in hard. Boom from the backside. All speed and aggressive attacking defense by Patton.
And now Anderson for the field goal. From 27 yards, it's good. Anderson continues to be deadly from that range. And the Steelers, after the interception by Woodson, have to settle for a field goal, but have cut the Buffalo lead to 4 with 1:16 left in the third.
Pittsburgh would have that lead if Tom Dooley didn't blow that whistle toward the end of the first half.
Well, for the first time in Olympic history, as you know, at the Barcelona Games in '92, NBA stars will be eligible to play for the U.S. team. We invite you to tune in live Saturday, September 21st, following Notre Dame football, to find out which of those pros will be selected to head the U.S. team in Barcelona. Chuck Daly's dream team has been the source of a lot of speculation. Michael Jordan, you see there, Charles Barkley and Magic Johnson, those three perhaps will be on the team. Jordan has gone one way and the other, so we don't know what his decision will be. We'll all find out on the 21st. A live announcement of the U.S. Olympic basketball team coming your way on NBC right after Notre Dame football.
Coach Levy, I can't help but wonder what the NBA coaches think of their players going off to play basketball. They've got a huge investment in those guys.
Here's Anderson's kick. Down in the end zone by Edwards. Stay tuned for the second half of our doubleheader. Most of you see the Chargers go in to play Steve Young and the 49ers. Some will see the Broncos, Raiders, or the Jets and Seahawks. Doubleheader NFL football here on NBC. Well, the last 10 Pittsburgh points have come as a result of Buffalo turnovers, 2 Jim Kelly interceptions after Kelly had tossed 4 touchdown passes. Kenneth Davis remains in the lineup, replacing Thurman Thomas, who on the first series of the game injured his ankle, had it checked out, returned, but has been in and out of the lineup all afternoon. Here's Kelly with a rare appearance under center. Handing off in a big hole for Davis. Davis takes it across the 25 up to the 28 or 9-yard line. Good running as Rod Woodson has to come up to make the stop on Davis.
Well, the left side of the Buffalo Bill offensive line, Will Wolford and Jim Richard just opened a nice hole for Kenneth Davis to get through.
2nd and 1. Kelly again goes to the ground. Davis gets the call and the first down, but not by much.
I got to figure that both of these teams are tired. I mean, we've been watching these guys go up and down the field, both the Steelers defense and offense. Now, Tom is sitting in there at halftime for 20-some minutes. I got to believe that his foot tightened up some. And when he came out this second half, it wasn't quite ready to go.
Kelly's first down pass. Good catch by Reed. He's got 10 yards. Carnell Lake is going to dream about Andre Reed tonight as the seconds tick away here in the third quarter.
Well, Carnell Lake has pretty good position on Reed, but Kelly puts the ball in an area that Lake just can't get to.
And so that's the end of the third quarter in Buffalo, with the Bills leading the Steelers 31-27. We'll be back after these words from your local station.
NBC Premier Week starts next Sunday with An Odd Couple of Cops.
Can I ask you a question? Shoot. Don't tempt me.
Premiering next Sunday, Robert Guillaume in Pacific Station.
Hey, Herbert Fisher. Have you met Herb Grant?
Herb Grant, Tacoma.
Herb's in the plumbing business.
Yeah, I'm all backed up.
Herb, you know these bums? Herb Riddick, Herb Kaplan. Hi. So, the wife and kids are good? Herb Jr.'s almost 12. Whoa, next thing you know, there'll be a Herbert Jr. Jr.
If it's out there, it's in here. The 9X Yellow Pages. Why would anyone need another?
When the biggest feet in the world become the biggest sources of foot odor, it's time to forget the baby powder. That's why you'll find Dr. Scholl's in every locker room in the NBA. Unlike some powders and sprays, Dr. Scholl's contains powerful ingredients which fight odor and wetness to quickly stop even the biggest foot odor problem and keep it from coming back. If Dr. Scholl's can handle foot odor problems this big, imagine what it can do for yours. Dr. Scholl's stops foot odor big time.
Of all the trust that's in your life, there's one kind of trust that makes you feel just right. Of all the people you trust every day, who ride by your side every step of the way. No matter where you live, work or play, you can trust Blue Cross to be there each day. Trust Blue Cross. The most important blue in your life. Blue Cross. Blue Cross.
Watch Goal to Go, the postgame show and Sports Extra today only on Channel 2.
Tom Hammond and Joe Namath ready to start the fourth quarter at Rich Stadium. The Buffalo Bills leading the Pittsburgh Steelers 31-27. Thurman Thomas has returned to the Buffalo lineup, and the Bills will have a first down at their own 44-yard line. Thomas injuring his left ankle early in the game as the third quarter stats. see Buffalo amassing 427 yards of total offense. But the turnovers, 2 of them, 2 Jim Kelly interceptions, one by Hinkle, one by Woodson, have the Steelers right back in the game. Butch Roll getting his ankle taped. Turnovers have been big. Pittsburgh has not turned the ball over. The 2 Buffalo turnovers have led to 10 Pittsburgh points. I'm not sure what the holdup is here.
Probably just giving these 2 teams a rest. I mean, they've been going up and down the field.
Maybe the officials need a rest. They've been going up and down, too.
That's right.
Chuck Noll getting the headset back on. I asked him yesterday if he thought he saw similarities between this Buffalo team and his...
Both teams can use the phone. Both teams can use the phone.
I guess one of the teams had their headphones to the press box out, and so when that happens, the other team has to take theirs off. Now they've got the trouble fixed, and both teams can go back to the headset, as you saw Chuck Noll putting his back on. I asked Noll if he saw any similarities between his great Super Bowl champions of the 70s and this Buffalo team, and he said, yeah, some of the same component parts, but they have yet to win a Super Bowl.
I think he liked his steel curtain a little bit more than his Buffalo's front right now because they are injured after all.
In fact, Bill Polian, the player personnel director and general manager of the Buffalo Bills, we asked him if his Buffalo team was where he wanted it, and he said perhaps a little more help defensively, and they would be where they wanted to be.
Yeah, but Coach Levy and Polian, they've shown some confidence in these young guys, at Hansen and Lodi, by not going out and bringing someone in right away.
First down play for the Bills. First play of the 4th quarter. Buffalo up 31-27. Hand off to Thomas. Jumps and dives ahead for 4 or 5 yards.
Kenny Davis on the stop.
A nice pile-up created by the Steeler front. Thomas right over top. Look at those numbers that these Bills are putting up. I guess it should be 1990, huh? That's what they averaged, and they're well ahead of that average.
Well, 329 got them to the Super Bowl last year, and they're well ahead of that pace. Beebe, incomplete. The fans thought there was some interference there as Rod Woodson and Beebe were stride for stride down the sideline.
Well, Woodson is in excellent position, and Beebe has some speed, but he's not going to run away from Woodson. There's a little bumping, but Woodson is playing the ball along with Beebe. And basically, folks, the ball was so far overthrown that they just shied away from any interference call.
Not a catchable ball, and though Woodson had his left arm in there, he was turned back toward the football. Bodies flying everywhere. The Steelers came across. Were they drawn off?
Well, the Bills would benefit from this tremendously if it is against the Steelers.
It could be a first down on a 5-yard penalty.
Encroachment, 93 defense, third down.
Let's watch the nose tackle. Number 93, Keith Willis, and there you see him coming a bit prematurely, jumping the gun. Now Williams, 98, is also offside. You'd think that the ball's sitting right there on the ground in front of him, and Joe Green is telling his boys, calm down out there, fellas. You got to see the football out of the corner of your eye. You have to feel that snap somehow. And if you don't see the football out of the corner of your eye, this is what's going to happen. You create a critical, possibly critical penalty.
5-yard penalty makes it 3rd and a foot. 3rd and a foot for Buffalo. Tailback Thomas dodged one tackler, cuts up. He's got the first down and more. Thomas hits for the corner of the end zone. Parnell Lake catches up to him and rides him down inside the 15-yard line.
Buffalo doesn't even run this play if that offside penalty doesn't occur. Look at Thomas go. Now he's going to start limping. That foot catches up to him, I think. And you can tell right there that that foot is bothering Thomas, but not before he made a tremendous gain.
30 yards, and he paid the price as he limps to the sideline. First down, Buffalo. Davis got a couple of tough yards.
So many things go into make up this game. Thomas made that run because he had good blocking and a God-given ability. However, they don't even run that play the last time. Oh, Thomas looks like he's in a lot of pain. They don't even run that play if Willis Williams don't jump off sides for the Steelers.
2 consecutive games over 100 yards for Thomas. Kelly to the end zone, too far, intended for Lofton. Rod Woodson defending him on the play, and Kelly that time appears to be looking over to the sideline for a little prompting perhaps. He does call his own plays, but looks to the sideline for help now and again. I asked Frank Reich yesterday how many times, and he said once or twice a drive. Kelly usually looks over. Here's what they've done inside the 20 last week, and perfect today. Play action pass. Kelly's going to have to scramble a little bit. Throws for the corner of the end zone. Beebe has 3 touchdowns.
Came all the way across the field that time. That offensive line of the Bills gave Kelly enough time to wait and wait and wait, and then the Steelers ran into one another in the end zone, and Beebe was wide open.
Norwood for the extra point. And it's good. Jim Kelly has tied his career high with 5 touchdown passes. It's 38-27.
Once again, Buick is raising the banner for quality in America. Introducing the 1992 LeSabre with a higher level of power, safety, security, and convenience. This new LeSabre is going to be one tough act to follow. LeSabre for 1992 from Buick.
In making an artistic statement, one's personal aroma shouldn't do the talking. So I use Right Guard Sports Stick with maximum protection. A true artiste should be known for inspiration, not perspiration. Right Guard Sports Stick. Anything less would be uncivilized.
NBC Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. By Coors Light, the silver bullet is the right beer now. By Napa, because there are no unimportant parts. And by ITT Corporation, building people's dreams.
Rich Stadium in Buffalo, 80,000 fans have seen the Bills take a 38-27 lead. And this kick by Norwood sails halfway into the end zone, and Mills, the rookie's going to bring it out. Ernie Mills, luckily for him, back to the 20-yard line. Chuck Noll would have been all over that rookie from the University of Florida. Tasker with another tackle. Beebe, 3 touchdown catches today. He only had 3 in his career before this game.
Here is Don Beebe, and here's Rod Woodson. Beebe's going to come all the way across the field. Woodson is going to get caught up looking at Jim Kelly, and now Woodson's chasing and has no chance to keep up with the speedy Beebe. Excellent pass protection by that offensive front up there by the Bills. You see Beebe coming all the way across the field. Woo, what pass protection.
He's tied his career touchdown mark in 1 game. Lips, Callaway, Mills, 3 wides in for the Steelers. Brister has a man wide open, and it's dropped by Malarkey. Brister's pass was behind Malarkey, who was all alone 10 yards down the field.
Well, you mentioned earlier when they're open, you've got to get that ball to them. That's the second time they missed him. Here's Lewis Lips trying to get downfield, and oops, what's going on? Nate Odoms, number 37, gets away with a real pro move there, snatching the jersey of Lewis Lips and pulling him to the ground.
2nd and 10. Being taped over on the sideline is Garner, Hal Garner, the linebacker. Flags fly as Foster is stopped by Carlton Bailey.
There's a flag down.
Holding call against the Steelers. A costly offside penalty hurt them on that last touchdown.
Number 6 the offense. 2nd down.
Blankenship the guilty party as you look at the Fram 10-minute ticker. And this penalty will put the ball back to the Steeler 10. So the 5-yard offside gave Buffalo an edge on the last touchdown drive of the Bills. And now the offense of the Steelers hurt by that call, trailing 38-27.
Well, I don't know if this penalty is any bigger than that offside penalty the Steelers had, but no doubt the Steelers have been hurt by those penalties.
2nd and 20. Brister given time. Incomplete, intended for Hodge, who was only about 5 yards up the field. Conlon and Williams had him covered pretty closely.
Joe Walton was wondering what went wrong there, the offensive coordinator of Pittsburgh. He's in charge of calling these plays, and it becomes a guessing game with Joe Walton and Walt Corey, the coordinator of the Buffalo Bills. Walton's trying to figure out what coverage the Bills will be in and call the best play to go against that coverage. There's certainly a play that'll go against any one of a number of coverages, and there's Walt Corey, the defensive coordinator for the Bills, a man without a lot of hair.
Brister has hit 11 of 22, 105 yards in the day. Needs a big one here, and they'll stay on the ground to Hodge. Merrill Hodge picks his way to the 20-yard line, falls to the 21, well short of the first down. They had a 3rd and 20. They gave to Hodge, and now they'll punt.
Well, that was really playing it safe by that Pittsburgh offense that time. Walton obviously didn't want to risk a turnover down here in the area, but to expect Merrill Hodge to break a run for 20 yards or so is asking a bit much.
Straczynski is on to punt for the Steelers. Al Edwards awaits his kick. In over end, fair catch at the 49 of the Steelers. Great field position for Jim Kelly in the no huddle. Only a 28-yard punt. 38-27. We'll be back to Buffalo in just a moment.
We built this business.
He was wearing those night vision goggles they make. Otherwise, he never could have seen me. Rescued me.
Built this business.
They taught me computer drafting. I earned a degree. Now I've got a job.
They make the parts that connect my pacemaker. Never thought I'd be around to tell you that.
We built this business to build your dreams.
Reintroducing a glorious name for a glorious new automobile. The 1992 Buick Roadmaster. With its powerful V8 performance and the security of its driver's airbag, anti-lock brakes, and full perimeter frame, Roadmaster is perhaps the best value in an American luxury sedan. Roadmaster also delivers something only a Buick can deliver. Buick quality.
We invested $100 million in the latest diagnostic equipment. And another $5 million a year training our expert technicians to use it. We are Goodyear certified auto service retailers, and we believe everything we do, from tires to tune-ups, should live up to the most exacting standards of all. Yours and ours. Good tires, good service, good people, Goodyear.
1 year ago, a wing and a prayer helped Notre Dame capture a dramatic come-from-behind victory.
Caught by Adrian Gerald on a deflection. What a play!
In 2 weeks, these teams meet again as the Michigan State Spartans invade South Bend to battle the Fighting Irish. Notre Dame football is home on NBC.
And wrap is on the leg of Thurman Thomas. The ace running back of the Bills will not return today. In addition to the left ankle he hurt earlier, he now has a groin injury. Here's his replacement, Davis. Got nothing. The Bills, though, have racked up 478 yards on the afternoon, and Jim Kelly has cost 5 touchdown passes to equal his career high. How many did you toss in one game?
Well, I know I had at least 5. I don't know if I've ever had any more of that, but Kelly's gotten away with a couple of them today, too.
There's another completion to Andre Reed. He's having a big day. He's to the 40-yard line, about a yard short of the first down. Spun to the turf by David Johnson.
You know, when I say Kelly's gotten away with a couple of them, Jim would be the first one to tell you he hasn't played his best game today because he's put the ball in an area that the Steelers could have made a couple of plays. But Kelly's even mediocre day is good. Brister needs to have a good day against this Buffalo Bill team because he's got to score a lot of points to beat Buffalo. You're not going to stop him. And right now, Bubby Brister's been off target on some key passes, receivers that were open.
Reed's caught 9 passes today, already has 20 for the season. Diving for the first down is Davis.
For the first down.
Right now, this offense of the Bills is thinking icing the game. They want to get a score up there. They have this 11-point lead. Another score would put it, I would say, out of reach of the Steelers.
Keith Willis, slow getting up. Mentioning Andre Reed, he has his 17th career 100-yard receiving game today. And has scored his 41st touchdown. Don't forget to stay with us. The Chargers and the 49ers from Candlestick. Some of you will see the Broncos, Raiders from the Coliseum, or from the Kingdome, the Jets and Seahawks. Those are the games coming up next here on NBC.
The Jets, by the way, are the opponents of the Buffalo Bills next week.
We'll take a timeout here as they tend to Willis.
Getting to know you, getting to know all about you.
Not long ago, Honda and Toyota were known for the highest mileage. But today, there's Geo, the most fuel-efficient line of cars and trucks in America. Get to know Geo at your Chevrolet Geo dealers.
Getting to know.
Oil. It's the lifeblood of your engine. That makes your oil filter your engine's most vital organ. That's why Fram keeps going the extra mile to make the best protection even better. Introducing the new Fram Extra Guard. New glass fiber paper stops more dirt than any other filter for the best protection ever. The new Fram Extra Guard. American or import, it's an extra lease on life.
Robert Marshall was the head of the all-American family until he was accused of killing his wife. Based on a true story, Blind Faith, NBC Tonight.
Welcome back to Buffalo. Seeing that shot reminds me to say hello to Paul McGuire, our friend and colleague, who is here at his home in Buffalo, recovering from a heart attack. Doing well, we understand, and hope he can quickly get back to work for NBC. One of the best analysts in the business.
That was Paul's hat, too, by the way.
He barred that guy barred it.
Yeah.
Bill's trying to work on the clock, even though they're in the no-huddle now, keeping the ball on the ground the last few plays. Clock is ticking away from 9:53. This time, Kelly's going to look for 6. Beebe, he was going for his 4th touchdown of the day. He had a step, but the ball a little overthrown.
Richard Shelton's in there now at quarterback, and Shelton is trying to keep up with Beebe, but Beebe's got that speed. Kelly just gets it a little bit too far out in front.
Shaking his head, Beebe, as Steve Tasker now has come on to play a wide receiver. He's in the slot to the left. Normally just a special teams performer, as Andre Reed Steelers offside. This is a free play for Kelly. And the pass to Lofton broken up by David Johnson.
You know, that's the second critical third down situation that the Steelers have just lost their concentration. They didn't see the football move again. A defensive lineman must see that fall out of the corner of his eye.
Offside, 66 defense, third down.
Heck, I know he's fired up. I know he wants to get in there, but Evans on the bottom of your screen is going to shoot it. You can't quite see him right here. Maybe his headgear. There he is. He just gets across there. Now, you're telling me he's looking at that football? I don't believe it.
That last pass, by the way, intended for Steve Tasker, not for Lofton. As Tasker, as we said, gets a rare chance as a receiver. Buffalo 160 points in the fourth quarter of last year, and there the Steelers jump again. Well, this is easy. This is great for Jim Kelly. They don't need much help, but Joe Green's unit's giving it to him at the moment as Aaron Jones comes across that time.
Encroachment, 97 defense, first down.
Well, Chuck Noll and his Steelers are wondering why they're shooting themselves in the foot so often. Not with one penalty or two penalties, but three critical penalties on third down now. Steelers have had opportunities offensively and have been off mark a bit. That's just lack of concentration.
First down handoff is to Davis. And let's go to Bob Costas now for an update. Bob?
All right, Tom, watch Bernie Kosar pretty much seal the victory against New England. He goes long to Michael Jackson, 6th-round draft choice, rookie out of Southern Mississippi. For Michael Jackson, a thriller that covers 65 yards. The Browns lead it 20-0 in the fourth. Tom?
All right, Bob, and back here at Rich Stadium, Don Beebe is in on the act again. He makes another catch. It's been the game of his career, Don Beebe. We got a start a week ago as the Bills opened in 4 wide receivers. Shows that he belongs today.
Well, Richard Shelton, the cornerback for the Steelers, is giving Beebe some room.
He's caught 8 passes this afternoon and has 3 touchdowns as the Bills lug it now to the 5-yard line with Davis on the carry. Game about to slip away from Chuck Noll.
Well, they've hurt themselves. Coach Noll knows that. They've hurt themselves with penalties, with missing open receivers. Sure, they're going against an outstanding offensive team, but the Steelers really have hurt themselves too often.
Davis stopped at the 5-yard line. Little gain on the play. Keith Willis on the tackle. Well, they're spotted at the 4, so they did get a yard. It'll be 3rd and goal. Well, actually, they can make a first down, can't they? 3rd and 2. Third down pass from Kelly. Oh, baby! Beebe! Count them, 4 touchdown catches for Don Beebe. Norwood for the extra point. And the kick is good. Jim Kelly breaks his personal record with his 6th touchdown pass, and Beebe has caught 4 of them.
Well, Beebe's right here with Richard Shelton trying to cover him, but Beebe will work his way down into the back of the end zone, just run away from Shelton, the second-year defensive back. There you see Beebe, and Kelly delivers the ball just right. Perfect spot.
Got both feet down, too. Great concentration. Where's he from? Chadron State. Everybody across America will know it tomorrow. Chadron State of Nebraska. Don Beebe in his 3rd year, 3rd-round draft choice, who had 3 touchdown catches coming into today's game and has racked up 4 this afternoon. And Jim Kelly, not a bad day at the office. 6 touchdown passes is a career high for that man with a shotgun arm. 363 yards passing, and he's calling his own plays. Jim Kelly with his 12th 300-yard passing game, and he's 2 for 2 in the 300-yard department in the 1991 season. Rod Woodson has seen him flash by him all day. If he wasn't in shape before today, he will be now. Look at that. What a day.
And BB's tough. You know, it made that hurt back there in the third quarter. He sucked it up, got back out on the field, and made more plays.
Ernie Mills will stay in the end zone this time. He brought the last one out even deeper than that. All right, now on our Fram 10-minute ticker, let's check all the scores in the early starting games today, all in the fourth quarter. The Rams still leading the Giants, Phoenix up 9 on the Eagles, and Chicago leading Tampa Bay.
The winner is in section E.
Miami took a while to get in gear, but have opened up a lead on the Colts. New Orleans continues to lead, all the Chiefs have come back a bit. Minnesota with a 10-point lead at Atlanta. Cleveland and New England will be 1-1 after today. And here, Buffalo saw Pittsburgh come within 4, but now have widened the gap. Malarkey on the catch gets 5 before Cornelius Bennett wrestles him to the turf.
I'd look for Pittsburgh to hurry things up now. I don't think Bubby will be getting back now. You see that? He's up here with the no-huddle offense. They have 7 minutes and 30 seconds left in this half, but the Steelers need to get a couple of touchdowns and more, so there's no need to get back in the huddle and waste time.
Intercepted, intended for Hodge. That's Nate Odoms. They're going to rule no catch, incomplete pass.
Well, let's take a look, folks. Does he have it or doesn't he? Ball bounces out of the arms, and we can't even see the football. So right now, unless we have a different kind of angle, you're going to have to say that that's inconclusive, and you go with the call on the field.
No, you can't convince him of that.
I think if right now they're giving him touchdown. The whistle wasn't blown, obviously. The side judge never blew the whistle, and Odom gets it. Chuck Noll's already seen one very bad call go against him earlier.
The officials have ruled touchdown. It is being reviewed by instant replay.
It was a very timid touchdown rule on the field. I never saw the call. In fact, one official had marked the spot where he said the ball fell to the turf, and the Steelers all thought it was incomplete. In fact, Joe Walton had already sent in a play.
But from the replay that we saw, it's really inconclusive what happened, so that means that the Steelers are going to give up the touchdown, because if the people in the replay booth can't see for sure, hey, they stick with the call that's made on the field.
It'll go as a 32-yard touchdown interception by Nate Odoms. Odoms, who has been a starter since his rookie year, made several game-breaking plays in 1990, and his 8th career interception will be a touchdown if it stands. Larry Cirillo, our producer, Peter Bleckner, our director, searching for another angle, and Larry tells us this is the best one he has.
Well, Nate Odoms is at the bottom of the screen, and here he falls in, but you really can't see the ball. So once again, if you can't see the ball, you have to stay with the call that's made on the field.
And as Odoms crossed the goal line, no official made a call of any kind.
That's what surprised me. I mean, we had a side judge back there. There were a couple of guys around the ball, and they just seemed to look at each other. No one made a definitive call. In fact, the side judge didn't even chase the play downfield. He just stood there. Normally in a turnover, your referee, your side judges or whatever, they're going to move with the flow of the play, but these officials stood there as though the play was over.
Well, since a touchdown is involved, they're taking an extraordinary amount of time to review it. And Larry Cirillo says this is the only angle he has, really, as you watch it again from the end zone.
Well, we'll lose sight of the ball, and once that happens, he's got to go with the call that's made on the field. I'm surprised, though, that Merrill Hodge, with the body contact, didn't actually have Odom down there. That's all that has to be done. Touch the guy with the ball, and it seems that Hodge was leaning up against Odom's on the ground. There's Merrill Hodge right there. You can tell the Steelers, well, I don't think they have that defeated attitude, but they know they've been had today.
Tom Kelleher, the replay judge, is still having a look. Nate Odom's had a similar play last year when he stole the ball and took it in for a touchdown. Been a long day for Brister. He's missed some open receivers today.
You know, my only thing about that last play, Tom, is looking at the officials on the field. They didn't follow Odom's back down the field toward the end zone. They stood out there as though the ball was dead right now. There was some indecision made, and here we're going to see officially declared a touchdown.
After further review, we have an interception and a touchdown.
Yeah, what did he find right there? 6 points, and Bubby's just wondering what else could go wrong.
Norwood tacks on the extra point. And it's now 52-27. Remember, the Steelers had come within 4 points here in the second half. But the rest of the league now, Joe, aside from that interception, which came as a result of a defensive play, but the rest of the league must begin to ponder how to stop Jim Kelly and the no-huddle offense.
That's right. That no-huddle offense has most of the defenses, all of the ones the Bills face, certainly confused. They're not playing their normal game on defense. As much as the no-huddle does disrupt the defense, it's really the players. Kelly, that offensive line, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed. It's the big plays that these guys consistently make that really make that no-huddle work. There are a lot of quarterbacks around the league that couldn't run this no-huddle offense as efficiently as Jim Kelly can.
We remind you this telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of the telecast without the express written consent of the Buffalo Bills or the National Football League is prohibited. This game the property of the National Football League, Pittsburgh Steelers and Buffalo Bills, all rights reserved.
And Pittsburgh 27 brings the Western New York Charities donations from Genesee Theater to $8,700.
Well, there are 3 of the players you mentioned, Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, and Andre Reed. At their respective positions, it's hard to name better players in the National Football League.
Boy, you've got that right. Kennedy at home.
Returning the kickoff, doing a good job of it. Mills, only Norwood to beat. Now the pursuit catches up to him, and he's wrestled down at the 35-yard line by Henry Jones, the first-round draft choice of the Bills, who was only activated yesterday. They got a 2-week roster exemption for him because he signed so late, and he makes a saving tackle there as another rookie, Ernie Mills of Pittsburgh, almost went all the way.
Now, the problem Pittsburgh has right now is 4 touchdowns. I mean, this is some fancy running, and you're right, that pursuit is what came over here and saved the touchdown for the Buffalo Bills. But the Steelers need 4 touchdowns to get ahead, and I don't think they're going to do it. How about you folks?
Play-action pass from Brister, and complete to Hodge. Balls for about 11 yards. Cornelius Bennett had him by the ankle. And I think he fell across the down marker. He did. It will be a first down.
Right now, these Bills, Tom, want to play soft. They don't want to give up the fast touchdown. They'll let them catch the short ones, not the long ones.
Don't forget to stay tuned for the second half of our doubleheader. Most of you see the Chargers and the 49ers. Brister being chased, buys some time for the end zone. Green is interfered with. Oh, there it is.
Well, you called it before he did, Tom. Nice call.
Broken up.
My goodness, I don't know that really was interference. Maybe we'll see a replay of that. Brister had time to roll out a little bit to his left.
Defensive pass interference. Number 37, touchdown.
Oh, Odom was very happy a minute ago. Let's see, number 37, does he interfere with this catch? Oh, man, that looks like a sensational defensive play to me. You think he caught him a little bit, huh, Tom?
Thought he was wrapped around his shoulder there.
Well, with a 4-touchdown lead and then some, I don't think it's a critical error for these Bills. You folks decide once again, does he wrap him up? Does he hit him? Well, he got his right arm on his shoulder, sure.
First and goal for the Steelers. Brister lost it for Green. Can't hold on. Good defense by Odoms. Odoms, I think, got a hand in there to knock the ball away.
And Brister took a pretty good hit that time from Darryl Talley. Watch Odoms get his hand in there, and he just barely gets, well, does he get a piece of the ball?
Yeah, he got it. Look, he got that left hand in there to rake it away. Woo, great play by Odoms.
Darryl Talley helped make that play for Odoms because Talley pressured Brister so much that time. Brister had to release the ball in a hurry.
Warren Williams into the backfield for the Steelers on second and goal from the 1. Williams hit. Fights his way back to the line of scrimmage with Darryl Talley wrapped all over him. Lost his helmet in the process.
Darryl Talley's not exactly a happy camper with his finances these days. He feels like he should be paid what all pro linebackers get paid, and he's under contract, so he's not as happy as he should be. But 56, there he is, Darryl Talley getting back into that backfield to stop the run.
It'll be third and goal from the 1. Talley went to the Pro Bowl last year. Many fans in this throng of 80,000.
I like that Tallywhackers. That's pretty good.
For the Pittsburgh touchdown.
Here you see Malarkey getting in there on the block. He really doesn't have to do a great deal to Higgins, the lineman, but Hodge is able to fight his way through. What little hole there is in here. There's really not a big hole, but you see Hodge just barely breaks the plane of that goal line. At least the side judge or the line judge felt he did.
Anderson's extra point is good. And the count goes to 52-34.
Do we see an onside kick?
Good.
Why not?
Buffalo 52,
I think they have to try an onside kick.
Don't forget, coming up next Saturday, you'll see the world's top cyclists from Stuttgart, Germany. NBC's Olympic Showcase presents the World Cycling Championships. It's coming up next Saturday, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, here on NBC. And coming up next, more football. Most of you will see the Chargers take on the 49ers. Other games, the Broncos and Raiders, or the Jets and Seahawks. Doubleheader game coming up right after this one on NBC. Frank Reich is probably going to come on the field with a 52-34 lead. There he is loosening up. A very capable quarterback who is Kelly's backup in his 7th year out of Maryland, who has hit his only 2 passes of the season, including a touchdown. You'll remember he started 2 games last year, 5 in his career, and of the 5 starts he's had, 4 of them have been wins. 10 career touchdowns and 4 interceptions. He's the backup to, and former roommate actually, of Boomer Esiason at the University of Maryland, and he and the Cincinnati quarterback have a boot shop here in the Buffalo area, a quite successful one, as a matter of fact. So Beebe and Kelly are talking about their day. Kelly with 6 touchdown passes, 4 of them to Don Beebe. 58 points is the record. They've got 52. They're going to have to put an extension on the scoreboard at this rate. They scored 51 against the Raiders in the playoffs here last year. They scored 38 against Miami last week and 52 today against the Steelers. That's an average of 47 points a game over the last 3.
Awesome. I think the only way we'll see Reich put the ball in the air is if Teddy Marshall-Broda, offensive coordinator, wants to see his passing abilities and give him some extra work.
Eddie Fuller on the return for the Steelers. Get this, Joe. Buffalo, 517 yards of total offense today after coming up with 582 against Miami a week ago. How can you stop this no-huddle offense?
And that's with a couple of turnovers, I might add. Kelly had a couple picked off there. They still amassed 517 yards.
And as you saw, the Pittsburgh total 260 plus and almost 800 yards of total offense. Frank Reich is quite adept at the no-huddle offense, although I don't know if they're going to run it now.
I wouldn't think so. I think that they ought to just run that ball up the middle, get the clock going, and try to get out of here. Gardner's in at fullback. You let him have some work.
Carwell Gardner, I don't think he's carried all day. Now he has. And Carwell Gardner takes a couple of hits and is stopped short of the line of scrimmage. Now the Fram 10-minute ticker. That's the final. The Rams blasted in their first game, come back to defeat the Giants, who had beaten the 49ers. How can you figure these things? At home, the Giants lose to the Rams by 6. Phoenix, boy, they're looking good, aren't they? 26-10 a lead. Miami is a final now as they sputtered but won. And a couple of other finals. Cleveland shutting out New England. The Patriots at home after beating Indianapolis on the road. I got a starting game. No score yet. Frank Reich to Gardner again. Carwell Gardner found a hole and exploited that seam to take it to the 38-yard line. Carnell Lake stopping the 2-year man from the University of Louisville, 6'2", 232 pounds. Second-round draft choice a year ago.
Timeout, Pittsburgh. Their first charge, team timeout.
And Pittsburgh calls a timeout as their backup quarterback, Neil O'Donnell, gets ready to come in. Last week, when Brister was shaken up, O'Donnell came in to the cheers of the Three Rivers faithful and promptly tossed an 89-yard touchdown pass to Dwight Stone, his first NFL completion.
Well, O'Donnell's got his work cut out for him if he does get it back in this game.
Like Reich, he's from the University of Maryland. Bubby Brister's day is done. How do you assess his performance coming back from that concussion and displeasure of the fans a week ago?
Well, Bubby would tell you, I'm sure, that he missed a couple of guys that were open from time to time. He didn't play his best game, far from it. The offense did get some points up on the board. The defense chipped in, but it was far from Brister's best day. And Kelly, hey, he had a grade A day, but for Jim Kelly, it was just another day in the office.
How do you rate him amongst the best quarterbacks in the NFL at the moment?
Well, it's a team game. You know, Jim Kelly's performance is going to keep improving. He's going to keep getting better as long as his team does. So right now, I don't know if there's anybody that's playing better quarterbacking than Jim Kelly in the whole league.
And the offense of the Bills averaging over 500 yards in total offense a game. Fumble by Gardner and picked up by Woodson. Rod Woodson already has an interception today and picks up that fumble and takes it to the 25.
I wonder if we'll see O'Donnell now with a turnover this quick. You might get Brister back in the game. You get a quick touchdown from Pittsburgh, then an onside kick, and who knows? You know, we might get Brister back in here. Let's see if we can see the fumble. Gardner, this is what the Bills want to do. They want to give Gardner work just for this kind of reason. Hey, you better learn to hold on to the ball. This is a critical situation, and Gardner should know that all he has to do is hold on to the ball right now to ice this win.
Woodson brought it back 15 yards, and as you predicted, Bubby Brister returns to the game. First down for the Steelers from the 25 of the Buffalo Bills. Pittsburgh trailing 52-34. Brister across the middle, just broken up at the last moment by Mark Kelso, the safety, intended for Mike Mularkey.
Kelso makes a nice play getting his hands up on the ball this time. Look at his helmet, folks. He has an extra padding over top of his regular shell helmet and that's because he's had a few concussions in the past, and it's just a little extra protection from Art Kelso.
I thought he got his helmet from NASA, the way it looked there. Leading interceptor for the Bills in several seasons. 2nd and 10 for the Steelers. Clock shows 3:51. Brister chased from the pocket, unloads it to Hodge. Dragged down from behind at the 19-yard line. Cornelius Bennett caught up with Merrill Hodge as Brister goes down under the rush once again, and the clock continues to tick.
Bubby Brister, very smart move again. His number 1, number 2 receiver was covered that time. He held on to that ball until he found his outlet, Merrill Hodge. Brister showed sparks of really some good play out there. It's those passes that when you have a wide open receiver, gosh, you got to get the ball to him. You got to make it catchable for him.
Cornelius Bennett looks a little shaken up as he comes to the sideline. They can't afford to lose him. Already this Buffalo defense racked by injury, especially in the defensive line. Brister under pressure, sacked on the safety blitz by Leonard Smith. Second sack of the day for the Buffalo defense. One thing about Brister and Kelly, they have something in common. They're both tough, I'll tell you what. And Brister, though he was leveled on that one, painfully got back to his feet.
Oh, he does take a hit right here. 46, Leonard Smith from the backside comes untouched. Brister didn't have a receiver downfield because they got bumped around by a linebacker or two and thrown off their route. Bubby had nowhere to throw the ball. He had nowhere to throw the ball that time.
Brister, remember, had a concussion against San Diego last week. Again, he's running for his life. And it's complete to Eric Green right back at the original line of scrimmage on that 4th down play. And so Buffalo will take over on downs. 2:24 left here. Let's go to Bob Costas in New York for an NFL Live update.
All right, Tom, at the conclusion of the Pittsburgh-Buffalo game, most of your viewers will see San Diego and San Francisco, and the Chargers on the game's opening drive grab the lead at Candlestick for Dan Henning on this 1-yard touchdown pass from John Freese to Craig McEwen. It's 7-0 San Diego. Tom?
All right, Bob, and of course you'll be seeing that game coming up just as soon as this one is over. 2:24 left. Buffalo up 52-34. And the Bills taking over after holding the Steelers. Gardner back in the game. He fumbled a moment ago, remember. Gets a yard on that carry before he's stopped by Carnell Lake. Coming down toward the 2-minute warning.
Orwell Gardner telling himself, hold on to that ball. Wrap it up. Don't let it go.
And that carry by Gardner will bring us to the 2-minute warning. Timeout here at Rich Stadium. Buffalo leading 52-34.
Bulletin from Chevy Truck. Now get $1,000 cash back on every new 1991 Chevy full-size. The best cash back offer on America's best-selling pickup. Now through September 25th, $1,000 on every new 1991 Chevy full-size pickup. Every half-ton, three-quarter ton, 1 ton. Every 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, all with $1,000 cash back. You must take retail delivery from dealer stock by September 25th. See your Chevy dealer for details and get $1,000 cash back now.
The temperature never drops below Xerex. That's important to remember at a time like this, when it's very dark and very cold. Ah, you did remember Xerex Antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerex.
I'd like to be under the sea.
A child can drown in just 2 inches of water. Make the water safe for your child with the Red Cross Water Safety Program.
The 49ers. The Chargers. A Wild West showdown. Next.
2 minutes left in what will be the Bills' second win of the season. 52 points they have scored today, and around the NFL, defensive coordinators have to be pondering how in the world to stop this offense.
Well, the defenses around the league don't see this kind of offense from week to week, so it's a different preparation. It's a different rhythm for the offense. They're playing a different game when they come in to play these Bills. Not only does that no-huddle offense affect their rhythm, but the Bills have the guys that can run that no-huddle offense. Kelly and his boys in that powerful offensive line.
Marv Levy was telling us that the offense evolved because the Bills were so proficient in their 2-minute offense. They said, why not run it all the time? Put it in last year and, of course, refined it in the offseason now, and it looks to be in top form, over 500 yards in each of the first 2 games.
Well, Teddy Marchibroda, the old Pittsburgh quarterback's the one that implemented this offense initially. He put it in there, and he should get credit for trusting Kelly, for giving Kelly the confidence that it takes to run that kind of an offense.
And a fight breaks out after the Steelers had jumped offside. And it gives us a moment to take a look at today's Canon camcorder replay of the game. And it is indeed a replay because we saw it often. Jim Kelly, one of his 6 touchdown passes to Don Beebe, who made 4 TD receptions.
Encroachment, 91 defense. Second down.
That's a replay the Steelers will be seeing all week as they look at the films of this game, and not a pleasant one either on our Canon camcorder replay. Career day for Don Beebe. Had 3 touchdowns in 3 seasons, now in his 3rd, coming into today's game. And Jim Kelly, career best 6 touchdown passes. The party at that restaurant down on the waterfront will be rolling tonight. Jim Kelly had 111 tickets for this game. There'll be that many and more down at the Kelly party tonight. Gardner with another carry. Jim Kelly was talking to you yesterday. He was quite proud of his jersey collection, wasn't he? He has an extensive collection of sports jerseys, not just football, at his home here in Buffalo.
Oh, he has a special room at his house with sports memorabilia, and he not only has football jerseys of like Montana or myself and other guys. He has Michael Jordan's things in there, Magic Johnson. Jim's a tremendous sports fan of the other sports, basketball, baseball, etc., and he has put together some kind of museum right in his old home.
I'd like to thank our teammates in the booth, our spotters, Michael Gluck and Steve Solomon, on stats, Kerry Holler and Larry Pollock, and our producer, spotter Ray Smith. And the folks in the truck, headed by Larry Cirillo and Peter Bleckner. I'd like to give them our thanks. Terry O'Neill, the executive producer of NBC Sports, and John Faratzis, the coordinating producer of NFL football on NBC. Larry Cirillo, our producer today, and Peter Bleckner, our director. Carol Larson, the associate director. Production associate, Jenny Uber-Kincaid. Bill Parinello, the technical manager. And we thank all the folks that made our telecast possible from Rich Stadium. A lot of fireworks today, a lot of points on the board. 52-34. 30 seconds left now. This will be the final play as Frank Wright goes to one knee. 3rd consecutive crowd of 80,000 plus at Rich Stadium, celebrating another Buffalo Bills victory. The offense of Buffalo continues to rank 1st in the NFL by a large margin. For the 2nd consecutive game, they have racked up over 500 total yards, 6 touchdown passes for Jim Kelly, as Chuck Noll's Steelers fall to 1-1 on the season. You see the seconds ticking away. Don't forget, more football coming up. Many of you will see the Chargers and the 49ers. Now this is Tom Hammond for Joe Namath saying so long from Buffalo. The Bills win it 52-34.
A promotional fee has been paid to NBC by United Airlines. Come fly the friendly skies.
Monday, a Hollywood legend tells all.
What attracted Spencer Tracy to you? God knows.
Katie's back with Katharine Hepburn. Monday on Today.
Kex is better than the best. Why? Kex has the people for sales, service, and support. Your organization will run smoother with Canon NP and CLC copiers. From reliable desktop models to the latest in color copying technology, Canon NP and CLC are unsurpassed. See what Canon and Kex can do for you today with great performance, price, and superior quality. Better than the best.
Happy trails to you till we meet again.
The art of listening is very important. You have to listen. If you don't listen, you're going to miss part of the story. Obviously, you want to get certain responses, so then maybe you have to change the question a little bit so that you're sensitive to their feelings, but you get what you want as well. The soup kitchen story was very difficult. He doesn't know what's going to happen next. You know, I thought that was the story.
Join the Channel 2 News team for live primary election coverage Thursday on Channel 2. Goal to Go, the post-game show, is brought to you by Labatt's Blue, Canada's #1 beer, and by WBEN Sports Radio 930, and by True Value. Got a tough job to do? You can do it with True Value hardware stores. Now, the action continues with insights on today's game from players and coaches. It's Goal to Go, the post-game show, live from Rich Stadium.
Early fourth quarter, Steelers deficit of 31-10 has been erased to 31-27. Jim Kelly hits Don Beebe 13 yards out for his third touchdown of the afternoon, making it now 38-27 as the Bills go on to a 52-34 romp over the Pittsburgh Steelers and a 2-0 record this afternoon at Rich Stadium. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Wes Goforth. Welcome to Goal to Go, the post-game show. We'll be joining Ed Kilgore and Mike DeGeorge live in the Bills' victorious locker room again in just a few minutes. A lot of highlights, a lot of scores to pass along in the meantime. First of all, to get you involved again, as usual, our Pepsi Telepoll Player of the Game. We give you a chance to vote. Don Beebe with 4 touchdown catches this afternoon. Cornelius Bennett, another great defensive effort as the Bills played a 5-linebacker defense much of the day. Jim Kelly, a career-best 6 touchdown passes. Andre Reed, over 100 yards receiving. Once again, be sure to register your vote, and we will have the details and the final poll at the end of the game. The Miami Dolphins played their first game at home this afternoon against the Indianapolis Colts, and we want to show you those highlights right away. In this game in the third quarter, tied at 3, Mark Higgs, who ran on the Bills pretty good in the opening game last week, broke one for 23 yards to the Colts' 7-yard line, and then on the next play, Aaron Craver took it in for the TD, and the Dolphins go up 10-3. Now, the Colts had a chance to tie it before the end of the third quarter, but the Finns defense will stop Eric Dickerson coming up here at the goal line, and the Colts have to settle for a field goal, cutting it to 10-6. However, Miami adds a second-half touchdown and go on to win it 17-6 this afternoon over the Indianapolis Colts. Miami 17, Indianapolis 6. That's the final there. Elsewhere around the NFL in Week 2, Cleveland is putting it on the New England Patriots 20-0 in the fourth quarter. And Kansas City trailing New Orleans. This would be an upset, 17-10 at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Also, Minnesota with a 1-point win at Atlanta, 20-19. That's the final. Atlanta was a 1-point favorite to win that ball game. Elsewhere, the Rams with the upset of the day, a 6-point win at Giant Stadium over the New York Giants. That's a final. Also, Chicago and Tampa Bay, the Bears have a 1-point lead in the fourth quarter. That game is not over yet. Could come out close. Looks like it will. Green Bay trailing Detroit, 23-14. The Lions 3.5-point favorites going into this game. Also, Phoenix and Philadelphia. This is going to go to the wire. It looks like the Eagles 27 and Phoenix 26. The Eagles, of course, playing without Randall Cunningham. Denver and the Raiders will kick off later in the West Coast games. San Diego has a 7-0 lead on San Francisco in the first quarter. Jets and Seattle are playing, just getting underway. Houston at Cincinnati tonight, and tomorrow night, the Washington Redskins go to Dallas to play the Dallas Cowboys. And we'd like to welcome to our Goal to Go team right now, Bills fullback Jamie Mueller, who's going to join us for the rest of the year on our Goal to Go shows. Jamie, thanks for coming in.
Oh, thanks for having me, Wes.
And it looked like the no-huddle offense really hit stride today, especially in that second quarter when the yardage was gobbled up.
They really did. They, you know, they were moving the ball well all day, and like you said, in the second quarter, they took off and you know, pretty much just dictated to the Steelers what they were going to do all day.
Now, as we sat in there, you vote who you want to for the player of the game, but Don Beebe had an incredible, a career game today.
I tell you, Don, you know, he's had a frustrating preseason and coming back from the leg injury, and I was really happy to see, you know, him get in there and have the day that he did. He really deserved it.
4 touchdowns, and we want to give you an opportunity to look at the first 2 of those touchdowns as we slow them down, and Jamie explains exactly what happened. Here we go in the first quarter, Jamie.
On this one here, you'll see the cornerback 44. He's taking a look at quarterback Jim Kelly also, he's keeping an eye on Keith McKellar. And he just holds him up long enough that BB can get a half a step or a step, and it's just a race to the goal line. Jim puts it right in there. This free safety is a little bit late getting over to help out, so perfect pass and a good route by Don Beebe.
So McKellar froze the defensive back, as it were, there, allowing Beebe time to go by the corner.
Right, because if McKellar rolls to the outside, corner's most likely, and that defensive coverage is going to roll up and have coverage on him.
Now that made the score 17-3, and then in the second quarter, another play much the same here on Beebe's second touchdown. Pete Metzelaar is playing a big role here.
Yeah, Pete, you know, as you see right there, he's on the linebacker. His job is to drive upfield, try to get the attention of the free safety again. Free safety's held up just long enough. Jim puts the ball right in there, and free safety's just a little bit late getting there, as you see number 27 in your screen.
There's Thomas Everett finally getting in there, but back at the goal line, Metzelaar's froze him just long enough to open up Beebe once again.
Exactly. It was just a super team effort there.
That made it 24-3, and Beebe went on for a couple of other touchdowns. 52-34, the final score. The Bills go to 2-0. And then, want to get this block in here. This was on a big play in the third quarter. Thurman Thomas with a run here, Jamie, and a nice block by Beebe.
Yeah, you know, it's similar instance to what happened to Don Beebe last year. He hurt himself on a play like this. John Offerdahl came in. He was engaged in a block, and he broke his leg. Here, Beebe shows, you know, a lot of toughness. He goes in there and blocks Woodson and enables Thurman to get to the outside for a big run.
And the Bills would culminate that drive on a 3rd and 16 touchdown pass from Jim Kelly to Andre Reed. We're going to give you time to register your vote for the Pepsi Player of the Game and give Ed Kilgore a chance to get some Bills players and take a commercial break and be right back. Stay tuned.
The Bills make you kick your heels up and throw your hands up and throw your head back and come on now. The Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah, 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 yeah. Shout it.
If you're looking for the best Bills coverage pre- and post-game, there's one radio station that's covered the Bills on and off the field for over 10 years. Not just the game, that's the easy part, but the stuff you need to know to appreciate the game, to see the difference between this radio station's coverage and the rest. All you have to do is listen.
If you're not sure about it, stick around for some more clues.
WBEN's NFL Report, pre- and post-game. It's Buffalo's best Bills coverage.
Mark your calendar, because True Value September specials of the month are just too good to miss. Like this Empire 18-inch outdoor broom, only $5.99. And this Master Mechanic heavy-duty staple gun is just $11.88. The 32-gallon roughneck container by Rubbermaid is only $8.99. And in September, get 2 boxes of True Tough yard and trash bags. That's 80 bags for just $6.77 at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
What is refreshing? Taste. The taste that could only come from a cold blue light right out of the ice. Now that's refreshing.
Here at America's Fitness Warehouse, we believe working out together is a family tradition. We know exercise helps you get in shape, stay healthy, and it's a great way of relieving everyday stress. No one ever said exercise was easy, but it can be fun. At America's Fitness, we have the finest selection of home gyms, stair climbers, bikes, treadmills, skiers, benches, and weights, all at the lowest possible price. So stop in at America's Fitness Warehouse and make exercise your family tradition. You'll be glad you did. I'm Ron Krett, and you have my word on it.
Welcome back. Wes Goforth with Jamie Mueller. And, of course, the Bills fullback, starting fullback, not playing right now, sitting out on injured reserve with cervical stenosis. And, Jamie, briefly describe your injury and give us an update. I know you had an examination this week.
Well, it's not as bad as everyone had indicated. The media kind of just took off on it and compared it with Derek Burrows, and it's not similar to his. It is in the sense that there is stenosis, but you know, time's going to tell. I have a problem with some nerve damage, and time's going to repair that. And you know, I'm hopeful and confident that I'll be back on the field.
Essentially, the space in your vertebra for the spine to go through is smaller than it should be.
Right. Just enough that the cord and the the nerve endings that are coming out through the vertebrae are also, you know, any little movement can cause a little bit of a problem.
So he's on injured reserve for 4 weeks at least, and then we'll just have to wait and see. His time will be the teller. Marv Levy with his post-game press conference right now. We join the Bills head coach live.
And there was an interception or two, yes.
Coach, how did your defense today, what you did on defense today, as far as the scheme goes, differ from what the Giants did against you? You're talking about that.
I to tell you the truth, we structured what we were going to do today on the basis of what we wanted to do. The Giants game is so long ago, I don't remember. We didn't refer to the Giants. We didn't go back to the Giants. So it's a question which is difficult for me to answer. We base it on not so much on our opponent, as defenses often are structured when you do something new. We base it on the availability of our personnel. That's what it was based on.
Coach, do you have down here? Do you have any thoughts on that penalty for overzealousness in the end zone? I mean, you scored so many touchdowns today, you got hit with it an awful lot.
Well, I tell you, I'm one of the strongest proponents for curtailing what I feel are ludicrous demonstrations in the end zone. I've got a list which is longer than an income tax code now about the things you can't do. And I didn't think that those were the type of penalties. We don't have, you can't slap hands with the fans in the stands on our list of things to not do. And I didn't think that was the type of thing which was necessarily of a taunting nature or of a hot dog nature. I thought it was a quick slap of hands and go. So I don't know all of that laundry list is getting awful long right now. Even though I'll get you a second. Even though, again, I feel strongly that they should curb a lot of that hot dog stuff and a lot of the taunting stuff and the manufactured dances. But it gets like almost anything else. You got to start saying every single. Said you couldn't slap hands with the hands and the fans. Maybe they told us that. I know. Ever remember that.
This is a reflection of an extreme conservatism in the NFL hierarchy.
No. I don't think so, Larry. I don't think so, because I am in favor, strongly in favor of what they're trying to do to get those you come to play. But I thought that was a sort of a spontaneous thing. It wasn't an act that somebody thought about before the game. So, but we won't do it again. We won't do it again. I think the National League runs their program better than any league in professional football. More wisely, without a bunch of Pennzoil signs all over them and all that stuff. Yes, sir.
Before the season started, you said if we get a lead, then we'll probably try to do some running. Yet we had a 21-point lead, and we still came out passing subsequently two interceptions, and Gardner didn't come in till later.
Yeah, well, we mixed running in pretty well. Thurman had over 100 yards. Kenny Davis had a lot of running. When I say we're going to do some running, I didn't mean we would abandon a passing game, Art. I didn't mean that.
No,
I just mean that...
After we got the lead in the third quarter up to 21 points.
Well, it was 24-3.
Yeah,
that's first half, and we were succeeding. It's a judgment. We decided to stay with it. I don't think that the fact that in fact, I don't even recall what our selection was on the next series. But that's pretty early in the game to say you're going to go to a primarily running mode.
I say it was 31-10.
31-10.
31-10. We came out passing and had
an interception. Okay, well, I lied, I guess. I don't know.
A rare Marv Levy proven wrong point.
Well, at the U.S. Open, Stefan Edberg and Jim Courier collide for the men's singles title. In place of the week, it's back to school with a lesson in hot dogging. Jimmy Connors is the Sunday conversation piece. The fire still burns in his belly at age 39.
I love to compete. I'd love to go out there. I'd love to...
Contact to come over.
1,000 people.
Tennis, anyone? The Blue Jays are mean under Gene. They try to protect their lead in the American East. The big sticks are in Detroit. Cecil slugs. Canseco crushes. Both teams need the win. In Boston, the Red Sox do their double-digit thing again. We won't just kiss off the golf tour either. The 1 Hour Sports Center with Dan Patrick and Bob Lee, immediately following Sunday Night Baseball.
Take the snap. Would Jimmy Mack be able to withstand a Cardinal attack? Could John Elway stave off the silver and black? Would the Bills be flying around Rich Stadium again? Hooray for Herschel. Barry Sanders is back. Hey, you, pull up a seat or make it a bench. We are all pumped up. We're ahead in paying our bills. We've got week 2 sewn up for you next.
once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman, and welcome to week number 2 of NFL Primetime. Some surprising stories, and some things keep rolling along. And to help explain exactly what it is that I am talking about, because we all know I do need help, Robin Roberts, Tom Jackson. Are you ready for some football? Yes, I think we are. All right. Unlike last week when everybody played late, there are 3 late games around the NFL. Let's get you updated on what's going on there. A couple of minutes to go in the 49ers-Chargers game. The Niners have just added another field goal. They lead that by 20. The Chargers made them sweat for a while, but it's a 34-14 49ers lead with about under 2 minutes to go. Elsewhere, the Raiders and the Broncos. This has just ended, and the Raiders have held off the Broncos. They win it 16-13. Highlights of that shortly. In a game over a few moments ago, the Seattle Seahawks have defeated the New York Jets 20-13 behind Jeff Kemp up in the Kingdome. All right, let's begin with 111 in a row at Rich Stadium. Second possession, Jim Kelly to James Lofton. Sound effects are free. 53-yard touchdown at 7-0 Bills. Rod Woodson is burnt, and by the official right there. It was not Woodson's day. Next possession, Scott Norwood. His first 50-yarder or more ever as a Bill, and his first field goal since the Super Bowl miss, 10-0 Buffalo. Kelly to the white flash. Don Beebe, 34 yards. It's 17-3 Bills. Think they're fired up? Look at Steve Atisker run down Rod Woodson on the kick return. When Kelly gets the ball again, not Reed, not Lofton. It's Don Beebe, 14-yard touchdown. 24-3 Bills. 240 yards passing in the first half with 3 touchdowns for Kelly. Woodson and the Steelers' outstanding defense were winded. Meanwhile, the Steelers were undaunted, though. Barry Foster, remember him last year? He fouled up that kickoff in the San Francisco game. He must be a pretty good player for Chuck Noll to keep him around. He gets rid of it, a 57-yard run, and the Steelers are in business.
And offensive people wait for a chance to hit a defensive player just the way Shane Collin got hit by Cooper.
24-10, 24 seconds to go. Big play here. They rule that Jim Kelly is in the grasp by Gerald Wilson. Therefore, Huey Richardson can't pick it up and run it in the end zone, much to the chagrin of Joe Green.
You know, I thought the call may have been made a little quick, but as you look at it again, it may have been a turning point, but I'm sure in the mind of the Bills it was only going to be 52-41.
Well, here's what happened. Thurman Thomas said, okay, they thought about getting close. I'm going to rumble for 29 yards before Carnell Lake knocks me out of bounds. Then Kelly. Oh, here's Andre Reed, 31-10, Buffalo. Chuck Noll says, you know what, let's get back in it, and the Steelers showed some heart. Look at Barry Foster. He looks large, 19 yards to the right. Then Foster, up the middle. A classic Steeler trap, blocking down to the 3-yard line, set up a touchdown. Foster gained 121 yards at only 9 carries. But the problem is when you score a touchdown, the Bills get the ball back. But not this time. Brian Hinkle, the veteran. He tries to Dublin. It's a touchdown. 57 yards, 31-24 is the game. And you tell me, doesn't he look a little like Ted Hendricks in that shot? I think he does. He's taking the oxygen. Kelly with the ball again. This time picked off by Rod Woodson. This sets up a field goal. What was the laughers? Now 31-27. The Bills only by 4. But Thermal Thomas. Cut back. Cut again. Unbelievable move. 33 yards down to the 14. And Tommy, we were impressed with Thurman all day.
What heart he had. He was going to leave the game. The play before decided to stay in for one more.
And that set up Kelly to Don Beebe. 12 yards, 38-27. Could they do it again? Kelly with his 6th, Beebe with his 4th. 45-27. 10 catches, a $112, 4 touchdowns for young Don Beebe. And Nate Odoms applies the coup de grace as he picks off Bubby Brister and runs it at 32 yards, 52-27. Jim Kelly, 363 yards, 6 touchdowns. They were dancing in Buffalo because the Bills, by winning 52-34, have beaten their opponents in 2 weeks, 87-65. They've won 12 straight at home, and they've gained over 1,100 yards, Tommy, in the 2 wins. But, you know, we gave all the name players here. There's some unsung heroes for the Bills as well, aren't there?
Yeah, Chris, forget the skill ball players. When you're talking about the best offensive line in football, this is it. And I'm not saying they're the best run blockers or the best pass blockers, but they do both exceptionally well.
You know what? I knew you were watching the game and say, you know, I played with a defensive defense in Denver. We never knew if we'd score in double figures. What would it be like being a defender on this team?
It would be great. You know, most times, if you give up 14 points, you wonder the whole game, how will we get it back? How will we get it back? With the Bills, they get it back before you get to the end of the quarter.
Of course, they're most dangerous at home. They've had the 2 home games. And one thing, though, they have given up 65 points. I think what they need is the defensive 88 with the offensive now. They don't have all that, but they're certainly on their way. And you're wondering, Don Beebe, well, remember late last year, big regular season game for the Bills against Miami? Beebe broke his fibula, but he was carted off. This was his attitude then. Here's a speed receiver breaking his leg. They figure that's it for his career. Wrong. He caught 4 touchdown passes today from Jim Kelly. Against the Steeler pass defense that had been excellent. Last year, they were the stingiest. But this year, against San Diego and most notably today against the Buffalo Bills, their numbers, 100 yards more per game they give up. And the touchdown passes in 2 games are almost equal to all of last year.